Victoria Vavra versus Jesus de la Torre Vavra. Attorney Schaefer for plaintiff and Attorney Moldovan for defendant.
Okay, good morning to everyone.
Good morning, Judge.
This is a continuation of the trial commenced on May 31, 2024. At the time that we recessed, Mr. Schaefer, the proofs were with you, and so you can call your next witness.
Okay, I've checked my notes. Was the defense through with cross-examination? My notes were not clear on that.
I believe I was.
Okay, I guess then I have a little redirect right at this point with my client. Victoria.
Hold on.
Okay.
So you want to recall your client, is that it?
No, I think it's redirect. I called her on direct. There was cross, and so I
No, the cross we left off with, it was with Miss Cole.
He had a sister.
Okay. All right. Very good. Then I will go forward in that regard. Okay.
Okay, you can recall your client if you wish. I'm just trying to.
No, I will for rebuttal, John.
Okay. Okay.
I
Hold on. Ms. Vavra, you understand in this matter you had previously sworn in, you're still under oath.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Schaefer.
I'm not going to call her at this time, Your
Oh,
Honor.
you're not. Okay. Well,
Okay.
you're confusing me, Mr. Schaefer. Maybe it's
Okay. Then I'm successful this one.
yes.
Okay.
So who are we calling?
I'm calling William, please. And Mr. Inman, you are the father of Victoria, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you are here with the three children that Victoria has?
Okay, you're breaking up. Can you
Okay,
repeat
sorry.
that, please?
Yes. Are you familiar with Ava, Everly, and Eli?
Yes,
And they are your grandchildren, is that correct?
that's correct.
Have you had occasion visit with your daughter Victoria and the three children in their home in Battle Creek?
Yes,
And how often do you socialize and see them?
Victoria usually brings the grandchildren over every weekend, most weekends. And then once in a while, we'll stop by at her house.
Okay. Would you describe the relationship that you observed between Victoria and the children?
Oh, they have very close relationships, yeah.
And you have been in the home in Battle Creek, is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you describe the physical layout of that home?
So when you go in the back door, back patio off the deck, you walk into the kitchen dining area, and then straight forward is the living room. And then down the hallway is the bedrooms.
How many bedrooms are there?
There's 3.
Okay. How would you describe the cleanliness and the appropriateness of the home?
Very clean. And it's very safe. She has a full basement, and the kids have a entertainment area down there.
Okay. Are you familiar with the work history of your daughter?
Yeah, pretty well, yeah.
And you're familiar with her employment at the present time?
Yes.
Have you ever seen anything inappropriate that your daughter has done toward the children?
No, never.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Moldovan, cross-examination.
Thank you, Mr. Inman. Have you when Victoria brings the kids over to your house, you said it was mostly on the weekends?
Yes. That's when she gets them.
Okay. And does she stick around? Does she leave? Is she there?
She stays there all the time.
Okay.
Rarely leaves.
Does she bring anyone else with her?
She has in the past.
Is that the old boyfriend, Mario?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
How long's a while?
It would have been early May, maybe Mother's Day weekend, probably.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. And have you been to the marital home that Victoria and Jesse used to live in that Jesse still lives in?
Yes.
Out in Dowling on the lake?
Yep.
Okay, would you consider that an appropriate home for Jesse and the kids?
I would.
Okay, Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thanks, Mr. Inman.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Schaefer?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Inman, that concludes your testimony. You're free to go. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you.
Next witness, Mr. Schaefer.
I would call the defendant for cross-examination. You and Victoria have 3 minor children, is that correct?
This is correct.
And when did the two of you separate?
We separated, I would say, just after Christmas of 2022, when I found out that she was having an affair.
And after Christmas of 22?
Around that time. She lived with her parents for a lot of it, but her things were still in the home and she would come sometimes and spend the nights. But we were pretty much ending things around that time.
Okay. And you and Victoria, since the separation, at least for the last year, have had a schedule where you have been splitting the children. Is that correct?
We've been splitting the time somewhat, but I was told at the beginning that this would be temporary, that we would have no lawyers involved, and that it'd be a peaceful split. So I was giving Victoria the ability to work around her schedule because I was told that it would be a temporary schedule, but this is correct.
All right. And what has happened for at least the last year is that Victoria would have the children Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, and then you would have the children Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night of each week. Is that correct?
At the beginning, I had the children, I would say the first 6 months.
I'll see if you can answer the question. My question is this last year, has that been the schedule?
For probably most of the year, but not the entire year.
When did that begin?
I would say maybe after the first few months of school, she asked if she could have the children until Tuesday mornings, and everything was still civil and there's no lawyers involved. And I agreed that she could have them for the extra hours, even though it was major inconvenience to go to her home early to pick up the children to take them to school.
So the short answer to my question is yes, that this schedule has been ongoing. Is that correct?
Ongoing, but not for the entire year, correct.
All right. And has that worked out from your standpoint?
No, it is not. I've missed all major holidays, weekends, and the kids would like to come and bring their friends over, but every night that I have them is a school night, so this obviously doesn't work out for them. And so they're missing time with their grandparents, with me, and waking up and being able to take them to events, holidays, so forth. I did not even see that Christmas.
So you're saying it hasn't worked out, although it's been continued the 4-3 arrangement for almost the last year. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's a yes or no. That's been the schedule for almost a year, the 4-3 arrangement that I suggested.
Correct.
Okay. There was about the breakdown of the marriage. Victoria had requested to obtain time employment so that there could be medical insurance on the children. Do you recall that conversation?
Yeah, of course.
And were you willing to get a full-time to obtain insurance for the children?
Yes, actually, when I found out that she was having an affair, I had a job at a solar.
Just see if you can answer the question.
I had insurance. We chose to use her insurance.
Did you ever go get a job to obtain insurance?
Yes.
And when did you do that?
This would have been November of 2022. I was employed with Michigan Solar, where I would install solar systems on residential and commercial homes.
And how long did you work at that job?
My last day would have been around the end of May 2023.
And since that time, have you had a full?
Yes.
And what's your full-time job?
I am flipping houses, and then I work with my brothers giving trainings to the Coast Guard, police departments, and fire departments around the country.
And have you obtained health insurance for the children?
Me and Victoria have been splitting it. So when we split up, I paid for half of or for a full year.
Just a moment. Do you have insurance on the children at the present time?
I do not. We were using Victoria's.
Okay, all right. Did you ever have full insurance on the children?
No, we used Victoria's.
Okay, and
And again, this was probably when they
just a moment. It's not a question for you yet.
I think
The
you're.
home that you currently live in has one bedroom.
Hold on, Mr. Schaefer. What, Mr. Mullivan?
So I think I think that the answer wasn't quite finished. I think he was still trying to explain his answer. If we can maybe
Well,
allow him to.
He can
finish that.
explain it. He can explain it when you question him on direct.
Okay, that's fine.
The home that you live in has one bedroom. Is that correct?
This is not correct.
How many bedrooms does it have?
It's a 2-bedroom lake house.
Wait, isn't the second bedroom actually the living room?
No, there's 2 separate bedrooms.
Does the current home have a bathtub in it?
It has a shower and then a very large farmhouse sink that the children use and play in together. So the 2 of them can bathe at the same time. But the oldest likes to take showers.
Okay, just a moment. The answer, that's a yes or no answer. Does it have a bathtub in the home you live in at the present time?
There is no bathtub.
Okay, thank you. And there's no washer and dryer in the home at the present time, is there?
There is not.
Was this part of the concern that was expressed to you by Victoria at the time of the separation?
No, we actually lived in a home prior with 10 acres and 3 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms, and she encouraged us to move to the lake house because it was a funner lifestyle for the children and we were closer to family.
Well, closer to your family, correct?
Closer to my family. The other house was the same distance from hers.
What was that?
It would have been the same drive to get to her parents' house no matter what. So it was just more convenient and a better lifestyle living on the lake.
All right. Wasn't there a complaint from Victoria that the children were getting too old to take a bath in the sink?
This is why the oldest would take showers.
Just a minute. Was there a to you from Victoria that kids were too big to take a bath in the sink?
The oldest was too big to take a bath, so she would shower, correct.
Okay. Do you own the home you live in at the present time?
I do not.
Okay. What are your hours of work?
Typically, I will get to my work around, I would say 8:30 in the morning, and I will work till probably 5 p.m. at night. On the days that I don't have the children, and on the days that I do have the children, I just spend time with them. I take them to school, from school, pick them up, do homework, such, dinner, just normal family time.
All right, so from your answer, you work Friday through Monday. Is that a fair interpretation of what you're saying?
No, I have the children on from Fridays till around 4:30 p.m. So most of the days that I can only work now are Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
All right, and during Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, is it fair to state from what you said that you do not work at this flipping houses?
Correct. I've been spending time with the children.
Okay, and so during the school year, there's one child home, the youngest, is that correct?
Correct. He rides along with us to take them to school, from school, then go back to pick them up and bring them back home and then give family time.
It is true that your father does a lot of the transportation to school, is it not?
This is not true. I do all of the transportation.
Has he ever dropped off and picked up the children at school?
He He has begged to because he misses the children. So I would say out of the 180 school days that there are, he's maybe done about 10 to 15 tops. And this is just because he misses them and it is fun for them. But I'm the
Okay,
major.
well, so the answer is that there are occasions when your father will the transportation, correct?
Very few, but yes.
Prior to Victoria separating from you, was she basically a stay-at-home mom for the children?
No, we worked together at the same job. I started the emergency response in 2010, and I believe we met in late 2012 or 13, maybe in the summertime, and then she worked with me every day until I would say around COVID, so 2019.
So she worked at emergency response.
You broke up for a second there.
Did you say that she worked at emergency response?
Yes, there was a Canadian company called SWAT Consulting.
Are you dating anybody at the present time?
I am not. I have been on dates, but I am not dating.
Again, you broke up. Will you repeat that, please?
I am not.
Have you dated since the separation?
Yes.
And how many people have you dated since the separation?
I've probably been on 4 dates, but nothing that ended up being serious.
Okay. There was one person you were dating that you introduced to Victoria and the children on an occasion. Is that not true?
This is not true.
Oh, you never introduced them to Victoria?
So I believe the only time that she might be thinking of is I was on a first date with a lady at Horrocks, and Victoria was randomly there with her boyfriend, and the kids saw me and talked to me, but they were never actually introduced. And then Victoria and her boyfriend left. But that's the only time they've ever seen me with another person.
Okay, so there was you were on a date. You didn't introduce this person to Victoria. Is that what I understand?
This is correct. We just happened to be at the same place.
Okay, and you have had 2 drunk drivings before, have you not?
This is not true. I've never had a single DUI.
You've never had a single DUI. What have
Never
you
had
had? Driving?
I've never had a single DUI, and I feel that the court would be able to easily look this up.
Isn't it true that you had lost your license for approximately a year?
I have not. So I believe that the only time Victoria was thinking about was a reckless driving charge that in 2012 that was offered to me before I even knew Victoria and years before we've had children.
So your testimony is you've never had either a drunk driving or an impaired driving conviction. Is that correct?
So in 2012, I was driving with my brother.
Okay, see if you can answer the question. Have you had a drunk driving conviction, either impaired or drunk driving?
I received an OWI instead of choosing a reckless driving charge in 2012. This was probably 13 years ago, before I knew Victoria or had any children.
Okay, so you have had a drunk driving conviction.
But never a DUI, never 2 of them especially.
Okay, listen to my question.
If I may, real quick, I think my client's confused in regards to what actually occurred back in 2012. So if I may have a moment, just to talk to my client real quick.
Well, I'll to the judge, but
I'll tell you the issue is I think he's confused I think he's confusing OWI, OUIL, and that I believe it's an impaired is what ended up with that case in 2012.
So I can explain it. So in 2012, I was offered either a reckless driving charge with a 6-month suspended license, or the prosecutor said that I could have an OWI or something to that with no suspension. And he told me that it was not a DUI. So I chose that option.
Your Honor, I don't have a question for him at this point. I do have questions.
Okay, go ahead.
So You had said you never had a drunk driving or an impaired. And that was my question. But now you're saying that you did have an impaired back in 2012. Is that correct?
I believe you said that I've had 2 DUIs, and that was not true.
Listen to my question, please. Have you been convicted of an impaired driving?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What are your drinking habits at the present time?
I quit drinking alcohol in 2015, and I have not drank since.
What is your current income?
This year, it's probably been the lowest it has because I've been focusing on the children in this transition. I would say that
just a moment. What is your present income? Not an explanation of why.
I would say this year I made around $45,000 to $50,000.
And what was your income that you had in 2023?
I would say even less because I did not sell a home in 2023, so I'd say around 30,000. And that was the main year I was.
Okay.
For children.
So in 2023, how much did you declare on your income tax?
I would say around 34,000.
Your trial brief filed herein indicates that you make between $60,000 and $70,000. Is that an untruth? What is it?
This would be when I'm able to work full time. That I would say that would be an appropriate estimation.
So you're not working full time at the present time?
No, because I'm taking care of the children.
And but you're saying that if you worked full time, you would make between $60,000 and $70,000. Is that correct?
That's what I would hope for. Correct.
Did you file income tax in 2023?
I did.
Victoria testified that you were reluctant to take the children to urgent care. Is that a true statement?
This is not true. But again, there has not been any cases where I feel they're very healthy children. There's no medical conditions. They have no allergies that are known of. But if they were to be hurt, I would absolutely take them to the hospital, yes.
Did you tend to taking them for dental care?
Yes, I have taken them to dental care. And when I do, if there's a bill, I pay it.
When did you last take the children to dental care?
Everly had to have a tooth pulled, so I took her about 2 or 3 times. First 2 were consultations, and then the third was for the actual procedure. I don't remember when exactly this was, but again, there was a.
What year? Okay, what year was it?
This would have been last year.
Where at?
This would have been Smile Cascade, I believe, in Grand Rapids.
And was this a dentist that had been the family dentist that had been set up before?
No, this was one where they could do a procedure to put her under anesthetics so that they could take her tooth out without her feeling anything. There was a baby tooth that they wanted to pull.
Who recommended that you go to this person in Grand Rapids for this procedure?
I would assume a dentist, one of their primary dentists, but I do not know who recommended the dentist.
Who was the primary dentist at that time?
I couldn't tell you who the primary dentist was. I'm not sure. I took them to appointments.
Where was this primary dentist located?
I'm not sure. The one that I take them to is in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, but I'm trying to find out who recommended that this be done, and you're saying probably the dentist, but had you ever met that dentist?
I'm sure I have, but they don't have the same dentist. It's just random. The dentist's offices are so busy. There's so many clients that sometimes they can get people in, sometimes they cannot. This time it was in Grand Rapids. Sometimes it's in Battle Creek.
Currently, Victoria has set up dental work for the children in Grass Lake. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And have you contributed to the cost of that dental work?
I was under the assumption that
Just a minute. First of all,
order.
have you contributed to it? That's yes or
I've
no?
never, the first time I was informed that there was more dentist bills was on May 31st at our first trial. I was never shown a bill or told about any bills.
Is the answer no? You have not contributed to the cost of the dental work?
I have paid around $1,000 for the times that I have taken them, but I was not aware of any other major outstanding bills that had been paid until May 31st, which was our first trial date. That's the first time I've seen these paperwork. And I believe your client admitted that she never showed them.
Okay. When did you pay the $1,000 just for reference?
This would have been when the procedure was taking place to pull Everly Vavra's tooth.
And who was it paid to?
This would have been, I believe it was called Smile Cascade, but I could be wrong.
And when was it paid?
That day.
Well, was this before or after the separation?
This would have been after our separation.
During the time, well, within the last year, have you taken the children to any doctor's appointments?
Within the last year, I've taken Eli and Everly to get booster shots. And so they received more shots so that they could continue their education at Gull Lake Community Schools.
And where did you take them to get their booster shots?
This would have been in Battle Creek, I believe. I'm not sure if it's Borges or Bronson, but it's for the children's one there, right there in that area.
Well, did you see a doctor or did you go to a drugstore or where did you get the shot?
This was a doctor's appointment where it was scheduled and planned. They missed the school day, went in there, the doctor was very friendly. I think they had 6 booster shots and then we declined for them to receive another COVID-19 vaccine.
Was Victoria with you at that time?
No, I had the children as a weekday.
So did you notify Victoria of taking the children to the doctor?
Of course. And anytime that there's doctor visits or if the girls are sick, I'll text Victoria to keep her in the loop. And if she wants to talk to them, or if they want to talk to her, they can.
Is Victoria a good mother for the children?
She's a good mother. The only problems I've had was with people that she doesn't know very well, being introduced to them so quickly that seem violent. But otherwise,
And
when
who's
she's
that?
by herself, excuse me?
Who did she introduce the children to that you thought was too quickly?
When I found out she was having an affair on Christmas of 2022, this was a man by the name of Mario Burns. And within a few weeks, all the children were introduced to them.
So you're saying there was an affair in when of 22?
I found out that she was having an affair around Christmas time that had been going on for 3 or 4 months, and it wrecked the marriage.
And how did you find that out? Did you talk to Victoria?
So I found out.
Did you talk to Victoria?
I actually talked to the Mario man over the phone.
Did you talk to Victoria?
Yes, I did too as well. Same day.
When did you talk to Victoria?
This would have been around Christmas. She admitted everything.
I just say the question is, did you talk to Victoria? Your answer is yes. Christmas
Yes.
of 22?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware that Victoria has adjusted her schedule at work to accommodate the 4-3 parenting time arrangement at the present time?
I believe that I have adjusted my work schedule more.
That's not the question. The question, are you aware that Victoria has adjusted her work schedule to accommodate the 4-3 arrangement?
I'm not. She's always worked only 4 days a week. And I think that's what she still works.
I have no further question this time around.
Okay. Sir Moldovan, do you wish to do direct of your client at this time or reserve that?
No, I'll reserve that, Your Honor, for my case in chief.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer, next witness.
I have no further witnesses called, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you rest, Mr. Schaefer?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Moldovan, proofs are
Thank
with
you. I would recall my client, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Valbray, you're still under oath.
Correct.
Okay. So when you found out about the affair, what did Victoria admit to you regarding that?
Victoria admitted everything right away and felt, I believe, ashamed and apologized. But for me, it just cut too deep.
Okay. Did you guys try to save the marriage at that point in time, or was it over?
I didn't want it to be over, but it just came out of nowhere. So I tried the first few weeks to save it, but I could just tell that it wouldn't be savable.
And you indicated that person that she was having an affair with, his name was Mario Burns?
Correct.
This is the same person that Ms. Vera testified about that she was dating up to as of Mother's Day weekend this year, correct?
Correct.
So she continued that relationship with Mr. Burns after your separation?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to object to the leading questioner.
Well, Mr. Mullivan, please don't lead.
Okay, I can rephrase. I'll move on. Did she? So you indicated that you had a concern regarding her, or do you have a concern regarding her introducing people to the children that she's dating?
Yes.
And how did you become aware of that?
Aware of
Her introducing the people to the children?
the children would describe him when they were at my home.
Okay. Did you and Victoria have a discussion regarding that?
Yes.
Okay. And did you tell her that you had issues with that, or what was the discussion?
Correct. I just told her that it was too fast to be introducing people that she doesn't know very well, let alone the children at all, or to be having a stranger sleeping at the same house with them.
Okay. When you saw Victoria at Horrocks and you were on this date, right?
Correct.
Who was she with?
With Mario.
Okay. Did you and Victoria have a conversation that day, or what transpired at Horrocks when you?
Nothing major transpired. I was sitting with a lady for a first date, and then I noticed my children. So I excused myself from it and ran up and hugged them, kissed them, talked to them for a moment. They saw that I was sitting with someone and everyone waved at each other. I believe Victoria walked up and introduced herself to this girl. It was a very brief encounter.
And this was this on a weekend that Victoria had the children?
I would assume that this would have been a Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
I'm going to object to the assumption, Your Honor.
Okay.
It was the day that I did not have the children.
Okay. Now let's go back to so when did you and Victoria get married?
We got married July 7th, 2017.
Okay. And you have 3 children. How old's the oldest?
She just turned 9.
Okay. And Everly is your middle child. She
Is 6.
6, and your youngest is 3.
Just turned 3 a few months ago, correct?
Okay. When did you move to the house in Dowling?
We moved there, I would say 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. And how long did you and Victoria live in that, or how long did you guys live in that house together?
I would say around 4 years.
Okay. During that time, all 3 children lived there with you?
Correct.
Okay. Who owns that home?
My parents were gifted to it by their parents, and they have since asked if I would like to purchase it from them.
Okay. Is there a plan for you to purchase the home?
Yes.
Okay. And was that something that you and Victoria had discussed at some point in time when you were together?
Correct.
Okay. Describe that house.
It's a very peaceful rural lake house in Bristol Lake in Dowling, surrounded by farm fields. You drive down, I would say, 1.5 dirt road that's surrounded by oak trees. And the lake is an all-sports lake. It's very large, very deep, very private on the half side that we live on. And it's an amazing spot for children to grow up.
Okay. And is that the area that you grew up in?
Correct. I moved there when I was around Everly's age.
Okay. And who else lives in the area?
So my identical twin brother owns the house next to me. My grandfather owned the house next to me as well until he passed away from COVID. And my parents lived one house farther down from my twin brother.
Okay. Do you believe the house is appropriate for you and the children?
Absolutely.
All right. There was concern regarding the lack of bathing facilities. Can you explain what you guys do in that respect?
So the lack of having a bathtub is just the county not wanting to let the septic system be enlarged. So it is harder to. I've recently had an approval to make the septic system larger, so that way I can add bathtubs and 3 extra bedrooms to the home. But forever we've been bathing them in a very large farmhouse kitchen sink where the 2 of them could play in there and they would take baths. Also, there's a shower and a full bath as well.
So when you and Victoria were there, you guys were able to take showers and
Of course.
How often do the kids want to take baths?
They do not want to take baths ever, they're children, but I'll bathe them every other day. They will shower. And then the other 2 will bathe and play in the sink with their toys.
Right. I believe Victoria testified that there's baths, they would take baths at your parents' house.
If we were all over there hanging out with my parents and we were just, after dinner, we might run them through the tub for fun, but usually they would take baths at our house.
Okay. Bedrooms are the bedrooms appropriate?
Yes.
All right. What is the sleeping situation for the kids?
So the kids they share a bedroom. It's a bunk bed system that I made for them has like a playhouse in it. The ceilings in the room are 12 feet tall. So each of them has a very large amount of space, and I was able to build a fun little clubhouse for Ava. And then Eli was sleeping in a crib. But since the separation, all of the children want to sleep in my bed. So the bedroom is never used and we all sleep together.
Okay. So there's been some allegations that you don't spend a lot of time with children. Is that true?
This is not true. I crave much more time, and they would as well.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit H. And I will share my screen, maybe, if I can figure that out. Can you enable screen sharing, Your Honor?
Go ahead, you should be able to now.
Thank you. All right, so can you identify what is on the screen as Exhibit H?
Yeah, so these are pictures within the last month of the children at our house playing, swimming, and just normal day-to-day activities. The bottom, the horse pictures are a birthday party.
Are these pictures that either you took or someone took that when you were present?
The majority of these ones I took. The ones where I'm not in them, someone else may have taken.
Okay, I see the pictures of the children. Can you identify the children in the pictures on the screen right now?
Of course, these ones are Everly and Eli, and they're just playing in the trees. And then Eli, we go on the boat and catch turtles every day we can.
Okay. What about this picture on the fire pit? Who are the kids there?
The fire pit is all my children, Ava, Everly, and Eli, and we were roasting hot dogs.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask Exhibit H be admitted.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer?
No objection.
Okay, H will be admitted.
Okay. So these are activities. So these pictures are you said within the last month or so?
Correct. I have a million just like them, but these were just some of the ones within this summertime.
What's this picture with the horseback riding? Tell me about that.
So the horseback riding is, Ava loves horses. It was her birthday, so I took her to Texas, the Mustang Island, and we horseback rode all day on the beach.
Okay. Oops, wrong button. Sorry. All right. I'm putting on the screen a picture of looks like a living room. What can you identify what's on the screen?
Correct. This is the lake home that we currently live in. It's the living room.
We have an identification of what exhibit this is?
H.
H.
Thank you.
So describe what's in that picture.
So this would be the living room, dining room, and a partial view of the kitchen. And then you can see the side of the fridge with just some artwork, I believe, of Ava's.
Okay. Is this how the house looked when Victoria and you resided in the home?
It is a little different, but it is the exact same home layout, whatnot.
Okay, and
And you can see that one of the bedrooms is in the back corner with the door closed at the moment. And then the other bedroom is directly behind where the photo was taken.
okay, and is that the bottom corner picture is there?
That's,
What's that?
this is the yard where they play in the lake.
Okay,
And then where the zoomed out Google Earth photo, the blue dot is where the home is. And it shows the entire lake, the picture of the entire lake.
okay, again, you said that, that was a home that you and Victoria moved into, is that right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. What, if you had to sell that house, what do you think it would, what do you think it would sell for?
I would
I'm
never
going to
sell.
object, Your Honor, as to the relevance. He doesn't own the house, and Your Honor ruled that the property issues are not at issue, so I object as to relevance.
Okay, Mr. Mullivan, how's it relevant?
Well, Your Honor, I think there was some testimony that the house wasn't appropriate and for the children, and I think he has he can give his lay opinion as to what he believes the house is worth.
Well, he can give his opinion as to the house and the condition. I don't think the value is relevant because it's not in dispute.
Okay, I'll move on, Your Honor. So, now, Jesse, you currently, what's your current job that brings money in for your house?
Currently, I would say the biggest income would come through fixing real estate.
Okay, so, and how many houses are you working on right now?
Right now, I just sold the one and I have not purchased another.
Okay, when you and Victoria were together, was she involved in that business?
Correct. This is why I encouraged her to get her realtor license.
Okay, and how long have you had this flipping house business?
The flipping started when me and Victoria and I purchased our first home. We did some minor upgrades to it, lived in it for, I would say, only a year, and we're able to more than double what we purchased it for. And it sort of started the idea that it could be lucrative.
Okay, you also have you have other sources of income?
Correct.
All right, what was this, the first responder thing? Tell us about that.
Yes, so I was in 2010 during the Kalamazoo River oil spill. I started working for an emergency response company that responds to environmental or natural disasters, and have worked on that for well over a decade. And then since my brothers have started another company that I work with them on. So I would say the May 31st, after the day of our first trial, I left to Seattle to go give a training to the Coast Guard on the ocean.
Okay, and what, are you like an independent contractor there, or what's your title as, in regards to that business?
Correct, it's independent contractor, and we just train facilities or agencies on how to best use the equipment that they have at hand.
Okay, and you also have had other employment in the past?
Correct, the last one was installing solar systems. It was mainly because I had a lot of interest in green technology and like working outside, so I decided to work for a company of that nature.
When you worked for that solar company, were you provided health insurance?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes, we would have to purchase it, but we were offered the chance to do so if we wanted to.
Okay, and give me the time frame of when you worked for that company, for the solar company.
I would say it was either October or November of 2022. And I worked there for several months, well into May of 2023.
Okay.
That was a hard transition time for the children. So I stopped when I had no longer a spouse or a partner and focused majority of my time on the children.
Okay. So, since separation, the children have been insured, right?
Correct.
And how are they insured?
They currently are insured through Victoria's job at Gallagher.
Okay. Prior to her putting them on her insurance at Gallagher, how were the children insured?
Prior to that, they were on Medicaid.
Okay. Okay, Medicaid.
Right, and it was never an issue for
Okay.
while we were together.
Now, Do you believe you've helped contribute towards the health insurance costs for the children?
Correct. When we split up initially, when we split up our assets and everything, I provided her with a year worth of deductible for her insurance.
So, and when you say deductible, do you mean a year's worth of premiums?
Correct.
Okay. How did you guys discuss that, or how did that come about?
It was just brought up that she was paying, I believe, around $300 a month or so. And so I just offered to pay a year.
And how much did you actually pay then?
I would say it was around 1,700.
Okay. So probably if we did the math, it was somewhat a little more than half of that premium. Okay. Now you take the children to medical appointments?
Correct.
And I'm kind of confused about the dental thing. I think maybe everyone is. So with respect to the dental bills, had you ever seen the dental bills that Victoria submitted prior to me sharing them with you?
I've never seen any of them until trial.
Okay. Historically, when you take the children to medical appointments, do you ask about?
If there's a bill when I am there, I'll just pay it.
Okay.
I'll pay the day off.
Okay. Now, your youngest daughter, or no, was it Everly who had the tooth pulled?
Everly.
Okay. So was there a referral made to this dentist in Cascade, Grand Rapids, or how did you get to that area?
I would be under the assumption that there was definitely a referral.
I'm going to object to the assumptions again, Your Honor.
Okay.
If he knows, fine. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
I do not know how we chose that one.
Okay. I mean, did you schedule the appointment with that dentist?
I scheduled it so I could be there to take them during the work days, but really the schedule is given to you. There's only a few time slots they can do.
That's where I'm confused. So who's them?
The dental office. So the first two visits were a consultation to see what work needed to be done. And then the third would be the actual operation that the dental office scheduled.
Okay.
And then I took take two.
Is this like a dental practice group or something, or?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So when Mr. Schaefer asked you if you knew the name of the dentist, I believe your answer was no, right?
Correct.
Why? How did you not know the name of the dentist that the kids were going to see?
I had not seen any bills or been kept up in the loop on which ones they would go to when they were at the mother's.
Is it a dental practice that has multiple dentists working for them?
I would assume not. I just believe that whatever place can get the children in is the one that's chosen.
Okay, all right. When was the last time that the kids needed dental work?
This would have been, I would say, 6 months.
Okay, was that for a cleaning or something?
Everly had a toothache, so they gave her antibiotics that were used to help her toothache.
Did you take Everly to that appointment for the dental?
Yes, and then I picked up the medication at the B Drive Myers Pharmacy.
Okay. Now, do the children have a primary care physician, a doctor in town?
They used to go to Cereal City, but I believe they've stopped, and now they do not have a primary doctor.
Okay. The last time you took them to the doctor was for those vaccines that Mr. Schaefer asked you about?
Correct. This would have been about a month or two into school that I became aware that they were needing extra vaccinations to continue their education.
Okay. So you separated, you said in Christmas of 2022.
That's when I found out of the marital issues, but I don't believe Victoria left for maybe a month or two after.
Okay. So when she moved out of the home, you guys agreed on a parenting time schedule, right?
Correct.
All right. And was that schedule is different than the schedule that you are doing now?
Correct.
All right. What is that? What was that schedule then when you first separated?
The schedule then was from Friday night to Monday nights that she would have the children. So I was working around her work schedule to help her out while she lived at her parents' house.
Okay. And at some point in time, she got her own home?
Correct.
Okay. So this, you said with it sometime in the last year, you switched that parenting time schedule?
We altered it so that she could have an extra few hours at nighttime with the children, and that I could pick them up Tuesday mornings early before school so that I could take them to school. But this was also to be temporary.
All right, and you, I think you were asked if that schedule worked and you replied it did not, right?
No, this was all supposed to be temporary. Victoria had promised me that this would be a temporary schedule and that she would figure something out,
Okay.
and has since tried to make it permanent.
Did that schedule, when now with Victoria having overnights on Tuesday, or not Tuesday, Monday night, that required you to do what Tuesday morning?
This requires just to get up earlier to drive to her home early right before she leaves for work.
Okay. And so
Instead of having the children at the house ready to take them to school in the morning.
so you would come to her house, pick them up, and then take them to school, is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. And what school did the children attend?
They've always attended Gull Lake Community School Districts.
Okay. What parent time schedule do you believe is in the children's best interest?
I believe a 2255 would be very easy to work through or work out.
Okay.
But again, I'm willing to do either of, if Victoria would want a full week on or off, but I think that 2255 would make it so that we don't ever have to go a whole week without seeing the children.
Okay. And have you proposed that schedule to Victoria?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously that you were not able to, were you able to agree on that schedule?
No.
Okay. So in regards to the current arrangement, do you guys have an agreement regarding the holidays?
We do not have an agreement on holidays. I've missed all of them because they usually land on weekends.
Okay. So is the understanding that you guys have been following, what is the understanding that you have been following with respect to the holidays?
The holidays that so far have been whatever, if you get lucky and it's your day, you get them. And so I've missed all of them. I missed Father's Day, I missed Christmas. I believe the only holiday I had was Halloween.
Okay. Or any other holiday that would fall on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Or on a school night, correct?
Okay. Father's Day weekend, this last Father's Day weekend, did you get the children on Father's Day?
This Father's Day, I received a text from Victoria the night before asking if I would like to see them. This was the first time I'd ever received such a text. I absolutely told her yes, and was thankful that she would allow me to have them this year on Father's Day. And when the kids came over.
All right. You can't say what the kids said. So did Victoria give you a reason why she was proposing you have Father's Day this year?
She did not give me a reason.
Okay. But she dropped the kids off and you had them?
Correct.
Okay. Have you guys discussed at all what may be a good routine with respect to the holidays moving forward?
I believe that we should follow the handbook that's given by the courts to split the holidays evenly.
Okay. You think sharing those holidays and rotating them is in the children's best interest?
Absolutely.
Now, based on this current arrangement, during the school year, what's a typical Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday look like and Friday look like for you?
So Tuesday morning, I get up early to pick up the kids at 8 in the morning so that Victoria can run off to work. Then I proceed to take the children to school, drop them off. Then me and Eli head home. We'll eat breakfast. We'll play for a little bit. He'll go down for a nap. And then right after his nap is typically the time that we'll go pick up the children, which I leave the house around 3 to 3:10, and to Ava and Everly's school by 3:45 and back home by 4:30. And then we eat dinner, do homework, and play for a few hours before they go to bed. And that cycle repeats every day. On Fridays are the worst because the children are at school and directly from school I drop them off. So Fridays I only see them for a few hours for the whole day.
Okay. And then when on a Friday, that's when you take them to Victoria?
Straight from school.
Okay. All right. So who is so on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, who's packing the kids' lunches?
I am.
All right. Who's doing homework with the kids each week?
I do the homework with them, but it is fun, so.
Okay. Do you want to have some weekend time with the children?
Absolutely, it's just time that we can all play together and enjoy the sun and the lake, or they can have their friends over and play.
Okay. Are you able to have the kids' friends over right now?
No, unless it is a holiday break for 2 weeks, then I might get to sneak in a day or two with the friends coming over, but otherwise there's school nights.
Okay. What about in the summertime? Are you able to have the kids' friends over to the house?
Summertime has been nice now because the kids absolutely get to wake up and play and cook pancakes, or I can take them to the park or the zoo or just go on the boat.
Okay.
But usually during the year, it's not like that.
Okay. Now with your current work schedule, are you able to get the kids to and from school and to their appointments during the week?
Absolutely, I always work my work schedule around the children. I think that's what every parent has to do.
Okay. If you had that, if the court adopted that 2255 schedule, would that allow you to have more time for employment and work?
Correct.
Okay. Would that schedule allow you to change, to modify or adjust your work schedule so that you are able to be home on those days that you have the kids?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you, see if I can find it now. All right. Do you see what's been marked as Exhibit B as in boy?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you identify what Exhibit B is?
This is the attendance for Gull Lake Community Schools.
All right. And let's see, it looks like which child is this attendance record for?
This one is Everly, but they're both the same.
Okay, so now, is this something that you printed, or how did you come about getting this schedule?
I asked the school district to send me the attendance files.
Okay, so this is a business record that you received from the school?
Correct, this is their website.
Okay, it's on their website?
You need passcodes and things to get into it, yes, for privacy reasons, but this is the school district's information.
Okay, I'd ask that Exhibit B be admitted.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer?
Objection, proper foundation is not laid as hearsay.
Okay. Mr. Moldovan, if you can lay a foundation, then you can try to get it in.
So, all right, now Jesse, you said you had to log into your the school portal,
Correct.
and this is something that the school provides or maintains.
Correct.
Did you have any access to editing this or anything?
No.
Okay, and you were able to print this from the website?
Correct.
Is this something that Victoria also has access to?
Yes.
All right, and it is a record that is, again, maintained and controlled by the school?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm going to object. I don't think the foundation laid that he has that information.
Okay?
Well, I'll keep asking.
Moldovan?
I believe there's a foundation for admission of this exhibit, but I think this does meet the business records exception here to hearsay. It's something that certainly a document that was available to each party from their website. So I'd ask that.
I still object to proper foundation's hearsay, Your Honor. The business entries rule requires the keeper of the records to come in to verify what the procedure is in that regard. And that's not what we have brought here. We have heard nothing from anybody from the school district. So it is hearsay. It's a document allegedly of the school district, and the proper foundation hasn't been laid.
Okay. Mr. Moldovan, what's your response?
Again, Your Honor, I believe for the purposes of this hearing that it has trustworthiness and reliability, and it's admissible on that basis.
Well,
It's not an exception to the hearsay rule.
Okay. Obviously, it is hearsay, so it has to fit within the exceptions. And if you're fitting under a business records exception, then you do have to have the custodian of the records establish the reliability and that it is a business record. All we have is his statement that it's somehow on the school's website, and but there's nothing more above and beyond that. So the court is going to sustain the objection.
No, Jesse, have you reviewed the attendance records of the children?
Correct.
And based upon your review, is there a concern with Victoria getting the children to school?
There is a concern. Gull Lake Community School Districts has the days set up into 36 total weeks for school. So there's 36 Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, total into 180 school days. And of those 36 days, of the 180 that Victoria can take them to school, they have missed 15 Mondays. So their attendance issue is with Victoria on half the time that she can take them to school has not.
I'm going to object, Your Honor, that this is based on hearsay, and I'm going to object proper foundation of it.
Okay, Mr. Moldovan?
Your Honor, I think, Mr. Vavros has the ability to testify about what he's learned and reviewed in regards to their school's record. This is all information that Ms. Vavra has available to her. If she disputes it, she can testify about that.
Well, she does not have to dispute it if it's hearsay, just because she can. And so, I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Have you and Victoria had discussions regarding the children's attendance?
So I took a picture on a letter from the school district that stated that the children are missing.
Objection, hearsay,
Sustained.
hearsay.
Mr. Vavra, you cannot state what somebody else says or what any documents might say that are not in evidence in this particular matter. So
Yes, Your Honor.
I understand you don't know that. You don't understand that, but don't go there, okay?
Okay.
So my question is, have you and Victoria discussed the attendance issues between the two of you?
Yes.
Okay. And has Victoria admitted that she's taken the children out for personal days and other reasons?
Yes.
Okay. And that's a concern for you?
Correct.
How often do the children miss school when they're with you?
Only if the school calls them home because they are sick at school, or if they are throwing up or have a fever.
Okay. Knowing that there's been this issue with the children being absent, or this concern regarding the children's attendance at school, do you still believe that a 2255 schedule makes sense for the children?
Correct.
Yes. Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said the children attend Gull Lake schools.
Correct.
When your oldest daughter started school, Ava, you and obviously Victoria were still together.
Correct.
What about Everly when she started school?
We were still together as well.
Okay. So was there a discussion and an agreement that the children would attend the Gull Lake schools over other schools?
Absolutely. It's the best school district in the area, and Victoria and I both agreed that it's where they've been. Ava's received a third of her education now already. There's deep family roots in the school district.
So at the time you were living in Dowling, right?
Correct.
And does Dowling have a public school system?
Dowling has Delton, Michigan.
Okay.
Delton Community Schools.
Okay. And but you and Victoria believe that Gull Lake was a better fit for your children?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you were just going into it, but I cut you off. But how are the kids doing at Gull Lake schools?
The children currently are thriving. They've received excellent grades. They're meet or exceed the expectations that they need to.
Okay. Do they have they developed friendships and relationships with other peers and classmates?
Yes.
Okay. What grade is your oldest going to be in this year?
She'll be 4th grade at Thomas M. Ryan.
Okay. And what about your middle child?
She will be going into 1st grade.
Okay. Your youngest, Eli, is 3. Is there like a Young Fives program or anything for him or no?
Not currently. He will still be at home.
Okay. So the children, the school record for the children has been a positive one in your opinion?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why did you guys choose Gull Lake schools?
They are the best district within the area. My parents were principals there, teachers there. Victoria used to work for the school district. Me and their uncles all went to the school, and they have strong ties and friendships that are ongoing currently at the district as well.
Okay. And did you and Victoria discuss, submitting the paperwork for school of choice to allow the children to attend Gull Lake schools?
Correct. This year, even we both submitted privately. Victoria submitted to keep them there, and I did as well.
Okay. And how far of a drive is it for you, to get them to Gull Lake schools?
To Kellogg Elementary, it is roughly 17 minutes.
Okay,
And to Thomas and Ryan, it is approximately 26, 27.
okay. When you go and pick up the children from Victoria's house on Tuesday morning, how long of a drive is it from Victoria's house to the Gull Lake schools?
I would say 16, 17 minutes.
Okay, so similar commute from your home to
Right.
the school as in from Victoria's home to the school?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know what school district Victoria lives, his house is located in?
Her house, I believe, would be Battle Creek Central.
Okay. If you had to compare, if in your opinion as a parent, if you had to, which school would you prefer over the two, Gull Lake versus Battle Creek Central?
We both agree that Gull
The
Lake.
question, there's no basis for it. I mean, it went all over the place, comparing the type of school it is. If it's an opinion based on nothing, that's one thing, but if it's alleged that it's based on some sort of scientific research, then I submit that the proper foundation has laid for this opinion.
Well, Mr. Moldovan, if you can establish what it was that the parties considered in deciding, then court will allow.
Sure. What factors did you take into consideration when you chose Gull Lake schools over other schools?
Victoria and I just agreed that it was a much better school district, better facilities, better teachers and programs.
Okay. Now, I believe there was a proposal that to switch the children's schools from Gull Lake to Marshall. I'm not sure if that's still an idea.
It was Penfield.
Penfield, okay. If the court were to adopt a change in the school to Penfield, let's say, how would that affect the commute?
Both homes are out of district in Penfield. I'm not sure exactly where Penfield is to my home or Victoria's home, but I believe it would be the exact same drive.
Okay. Maybe a little bit more for you or less, you know?
I would assume more, but I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Did you said you graduated from Gull Lake schools?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know anyone that's involved in the Penfield school system?
I do not.
And if it were Marshall, how far of an impact would that have on you?
This would be a 45-minute drive
Okay. Each way?
each way.
Okay, so if the children were to attend Marshall schools, that would be is that a significant increase in the commute time?
That would be hardest on our 3-year-old son that would have to do this trip 4 times per day.
Okay, so are you in favor of the children's continuing their education and enrollment at Gull Lake schools?
Correct.
Yes, okay. Now, during your time with children, do you limit mothers' their ability to contact mom?
Never.
Do you encourage the children to contact mom?
Yes.
Okay. In what ways?
I let them know that anytime they would like to speak to her, talk to her, communicate or call her, they're absolutely welcome to. They usually do not do this, but they absolutely know that they can. And Victoria knows as well that she can call or text me asking to speak to them and will be able to.
Okay. Do you do anything to limit mom's ability to contact the children when they're with you?
No.
Okay. With respect to social, to texting and having electronic devices, what kind of boundaries or limitations do you place on the children?
I limit their time on iPads or technology or TV. Feel that it robs childhood, and I definitely keep them off of any social media, TikTok or like the YouTube or any of those things.
Okay. Have you and Victoria disagreed over the kids' access to the electronic devices?
I believe that she wants the ability to have them have cell phones, and I just think that they're far too young.
Okay. When do you think it's more age appropriate for the children to have their own cell phones?
I would say if the children were to be at in sporting events where they were left alone at practices after school for an hour, then I might consider having them have the ability to contact either of us, but currently they're never alone or in events where it puts us both away from them at any time.
Okay. Are you open to, reasonable phone contact during parenting time for each parent?
Absolutely.
Yes. Do you rely on your father to take the kids to and from school and other things?
No.
Okay. Now, how often are you relying on other people to watch the kids during your time?
I do not have anyone watch the kids. That's my time that I crave to have with the children and they crave to have with me. And yes, they've never had a babysitter or anything of such, never hired a babysitter, they've never been in daycare.
Had you ever leave the children home alone?
No, they're far too little.
I think Victoria testified that there was a couple occasions that you did leave the children alone.
Correct.
Can you, one was alleged to have occurred in April of this year. Do you recall that?
I do.
Explain to me what happened there on that in April of 2024.
So that time I was going to give an interview at 8:30 p.m. to a person, which is the time that the children go to bed. So I told the client that I would have to call them after the children went to bed. I put them in the bed that we all share and told them that I would be on the phone for approximately 10-15 minutes tops. And then I sat in the car and gave the interview. And the entire time I was giving the interview, Ava was knocking on the car door. But there was never a time where anyone left. And I believe that Ava texted Victoria that I was not in the home.
Okay.
But then after that, Ava knew that I was in the car. She then texted Victoria that I was in the car on the phone.
All right. So in that April situation, you had gone outside of the driveway, you had not left.
Correct.
Okay. I think there was a testimony from that the other occasion occurred in February of 2024. Do you recall that?
I don't recall any of this or what it is about.
Okay. So to your knowledge, it's your testimony that you do not leave the children alone.
I would never leave the children alone. Absolutely not.
Okay. Any history of domestic violence between you and Victoria?
No.
All right. And you said you haven't drank alcohol since 2015?
Correct. And Victoria testified that to be true when she spoke as well, that I did not drink.
Okay. Do you know if Victoria still drinks?
Correct. She definitely still drinks.
Have you seen her drinking alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. Now, was there an occasion where you've had to assist Victoria during this work day because she had been drinking?
So I've worked with her company truck and driven around with her for a work day. Correct.
When was that?
This would have been probably a few months after the major separation. So I would say around April of last year.
Okay. Do you believe there's an issue with the drinking, or is it something that's kind of?
Yes, when we meet up to talk, I've seen her jump out of her truck with a beer can in her hand while we meet to discuss about the children.
Okay. I think it was asked regarding doctor's appointments. Do you have any issues with the children seeing a physician?
No.
Right. Do you have family that are in the medical field?
My grandfather was a doctor.
What about, are you Western medication or?
No. In college, I was studying microbiology towards the field of medical field like itself.
Okay. And obviously what was that position with the first responders? Is that kind of, emergency response? Is that kind of medical related or is that just an environmental disaster?
Environmental and medical. If there was an accident on site, everyone has medical training, CPR certified, it could be later. I teach courses to the Coast Guard on ice rescue and how to bring people back if they've been drowned, whatnot.
First aid certified and all that stuff?
First aid, of course.
All right. So if there was a medical issue for the children, would you seek appropriate, assistance?
Absolutely.
Okay. If the court were to modify the current schedule, do you believe the children will be able to adjust to that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, I want to clarify the drunk driving issue. You were arrested in 2012 while operating a motor vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. And your testimony was that there was a proposal regarding the reckless driving over impaired?
Right. So when I was speaking to the officer, I did field sobriety test and passed it. I felt that I was not intoxicated, so he asked if I'd do a breathalyzer.
I'm going to object to the hearsay and the relevance of that, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Moldovan?
Again, Your Honor, I think it's relevant only because Mr. Schaefer brought it up. But I'm trying to clarify because I think that testimony was not very clear in regards to what actually transpired that day.
Well, you can clarify it, but I don't want to have any hearsay, so I don't want to hear what the police officer or prosecutor or anybody else said.
When you went to court, were you concerned with your ability to drive a vehicle?
Correct.
And the charge that you were charged with would result in a suspension of your license?
If I had chosen the reckless driving charge, yes. I was told that it'd be a 6 month driver suspension.
Okay. And you ended up, to your knowledge, pleading guilty to driving while impaired?
Correct, with no driver suspension.
Okay. So, and that's how it was relayed to you, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, do you recall what your blood alcohol level was that night?
Yes.
What was it?
0.08.
Okay. The children were not obviously around back then in 2012, right?
This was before I even knew Victoria.
Okay. Other than that, any criminal history?
No.
Okay. And you said you have not drank alcohol since 2015?
Correct.
Why did you decide to stop drinking alcohol?
I wanted to focus on health and fitness, and I knew that alcohol does not help anyone in any given scenario. And I just don't ever want my daughters or son to ever see me or someone that they love drink a lot. So I decided to quit completely.
Okay.
And the whole entire time we were married, I never drank once. I didn't even drink at our wedding.
Okay. What, you filed taxes this for 2023?
Yes,
All right. And was that filed married separate?
correct. It was the first time we'd filed separately.
Okay, so 2022, you filed jointly with Victoria for
Right.
2022? Okay. And so for tax year 2023, did you get to claim any of the children as dependents?
No,
No? Okay. So I assume if you didn't claim them, was it Victoria that claimed them?
correct.
Did you and Victoria agree on that?
I was not aware of it until she told me that she claimed them both, or all three of them.
Okay. Moving forward for tax year 2024, what would you propose?
I believe that the most common thing would be each of us claims one always, and then we go back and forth on the third child.
Okay.
But
So your proposal would be to share that tax exemption equally?
correct.
Okay.
I feel like that's standard on most cases.
So I'm going to show you what's marked as Exhibit J. Maybe. Can you see this now? Let's see. Everyone see it now?
Yes.
Jesse, can you identify what Exhibit J is?
So this is the holidays that schedules for the year and the next coming fourth year.
Okay, is this a chart that you put together?
Correct.
Okay. Is it? And again, you put this together?
Correct.
Okay, I'd ask Exhibit J be admitted.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer?
I'm not sure what the relevance of it is.
Well,
A chart that he put together of holidays, I don't know the relevance of it. Object is irrelevant.
well, I don't know the relevance either, but we know what the legal holidays are, but I'll admit it. I don't think that
Your Honor, I have probably 2 questions about it, and that's about it. So,
Okay.
Mr. Jesse, you put this this chart together based upon the current parent time schedule?
Correct.
And so based on this, I see all the holidays on mom's column. Why is that?
The holidays are usually aligned with weekends.
Okay, so, and if we look at this, you get those birthdays on the right column and she gets, or those holidays on the right and she gets the ones on the left?
Right, and 3 of the one on my right, I still have to give the children back.
Okay,
Or receiving them about midday. But last year, I did not even get to see the kids on Christmas or New Year's or Christmas Eve, just because it was, and I begged and pleaded to, and Victoria did not allow that. We even filed a motion to have some shared time, and it was not successful.
it is because of this, how this ends up laying out. Is that why you're requesting that the court adopt an alternating schedule consistent with
Correct.
the policy? Okay. With respect to summertime, what parenting time schedule are you proposing?
I would propose that a 2255 would impact Victoria the least and be beneficial to the children in every way.
Okay. Now, again, I think I recall from the last hearing, Victoria's work schedule was that she doesn't work on Mondays. Is that what it was?
Correct.
Okay. So with respect to the 2255 schedule, the issue would be on Tuesdays?
Tuesdays getting the children to school. But
Okay.
again, I could do that for her. Absolutely would be willing to, and I'm currently at the moment anyways.
Okay. So even if we did the 225 schedule, you could help her on those days if needed?
Absolutely.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions this time.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, any recross?
Yes, quite a bit, yes. You heard the testimony of what the schedule is that Victoria has at work, and that she testified that she had gotten accommodations from her employer to coincide with what the two of you agree on the 4-3 situation. You realize that it would require her, per her testimony, that she would have to find a different job if in fact this 2255 are to be implemented. Did you hear that testimony?
Every parent has to work their schedule around their children. This isn't an isolated issue.
Say that again, you broke up.
Yeah, I would say that every parent has to work their work schedule around their children. This is no isolated issue between just Victoria. It affects every parent in the world. But yes, I think if she needed to adjust her schedule for her children, she should.
Yeah, but she has already adjusted her schedule to accommodate what the two of you agreed to do the 4-3 on, and now you're saying that you want to change it so she should have to adjust her schedule again to accommodate what you want. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is not correct. When this schedule was imposed, there was no lawyers involved. She told me everything would be peacefully split. We would have equal time with the kids. And so I was willing to allow myself to work completely around her schedule because she told me it would not be permanent. And then when she filed for full legal custody of the children, she tried to make the schedule permanent. And that's when I had to obtain a lawyer because she was trying to take the children away 100%.
Well, I guess that wasn't my question. My question is that you're asking her to adjust her schedule to accommodate a new parenting time. Are you not?
Correct.
Okay. Going back, you indicated that you had never had a drink during the marriage. Is that, I understand you correctly?
Correct.
You indicated that your blood alcohol level was 0.08. Do you realize that by law, that's the presumption of intoxication?
Correct. I believe in 2001, it was changed from 0.1 to 0.08.
This is 2012. You realize in 2012, 0.08 was presumption of being intoxicated?
Correct.
Okay, so you were intoxicated on that occasion, is that right?
In 2012, correct.
What's your educational background?
I went to Albion College for 3 years studying microbiology and history.
Did you ever receive a degree?
I did not. I was then introduced to the
Okay.
emergency response field.
Well, let's take up that issue. Now, you have thrown out that you have multiple jobs. So how much money do you make as this emergency response position?
When we were together, I was
No, my question is, at the present time, how much money do you make at the response position?
at the present time, I'm just doing it to help out my brother's company because I have the qualifications to help with what they do,
Okay,
but I do not get paid for it.
so my first question was on the response. You are not getting paid anything. Whatever you're doing is on a voluntary basis. Is that right?
And until I receive a schedule where I can have a permanent schedule with the children, I'm not going to be able to make plans for employment.
So the answer is, I am correct that you're getting no money from this source of a job
Correct.
that you talked about.
For this trip, correct.
And now you said that you had a position or an anticipated position with a company of your brother. Are you working for him at the present time?
No, I've just helped them out. They're consultants, so they work randomly when
Are you
they do
making-
jobs.
Are you making any money for whatever you're doing with your brother at the present time?
No,
So the only income that you are currently having is that which you get from flipping houses. Is that correct?
currently, but I will be finding,
Okay, that was my question. Currently, you got
Yes.
the answer correct.
correct.
When did you see a physician at a doctor's appointment for the children that you testified about?
For the dental?
No, you said you had a doctor's appointment. For
Yes, this would have been last year. This would have been
Bring us
last year,
back.
probably 2 months after school started.
And what doctor was it?
This was one in downtown Battle Creek, I believe is Bronson.
What was the doctor's name?
I do not recall. That was the first time I had met her. She was just the one that was giving them their vaccines for the day.
Who made the appointment?
I did.
Had you ever seen this doctor before?
No, I was just informed by the school district that their vaccines had
That's
lapsed.
fine. Yes or no, it's fine. Who was the primary doctor of the children that you said that existed at some time but no longer exists?
This would have been the 2 or 3 major physicians at Serial City.
What other names?
I could not recall. It's been so long.
How long ago was it?
I would say 3 years.
So the children had no medical attention from a professional for a 3-year period?
They did receive medical attention. They just did not have a specific primary doctor anymore.
Who did they receive medical attention in that 3-year period?
They received their regular shots and boosters as most children, as all children do,
And from whom?
from the hospitals or the doctors those days. There was no real specific one.
At what organization?
I believe Bronson, the small children's hospital next to Bronson in downtown Battle Creek.
There were occasions that Victoria had requested that children go to urgent care for some self-diagnosed malady that the children were having, and you refused to go there, was there not?
I do not know what you're talking about or what medical condition you're describing.
Did you ever refuse to take the children to the urgent care at the request of Victoria for the children?
No, anytime that the children need hospitalization, of course they're going to go.
That wasn't my question. Did you ever refuse?
My answer was no.
No, okay.
My answer is no. I've never refused to take the children to the doctor.
You gave us a lot of testimony about Gull Lake. And I guess you agree that Penfield, distance-wise, would be equal to both of you at the present time. Did I understand you correctly?
No, I was saying that I do not know the location of Penfield to my current home.
So you've never checked it out,
No, I've always been on firm ground that they should stay where they've always been.
That's basically because your family is associated with the Gull Lakes district, correct?
No, it's because Ava has already spent a third of her education there and has made serious bonds and friends in the district, as with Everly.
And Ava's
And
in
it
what
is-
grade? Just finished the third grade?
Correct, she'll be in fourth grade now.
So 3 years is a third of her education?
No, she's already enrolled in Gull Lake for this fourth year and has already met her teacher. So she's going, and she's been admitted to Gull Lake, so she's going to Gull Lake for fourth grade. And Victoria filed paperwork allowing her to do so as well.
Okay, well, I'm questioning your math. If she's completed 3 years of a 12-year,
That'd be 25%.
more like a quarter, isn't it?
Correct, but if she starts, I mean, 25 to a third, okay.
What's the when Gull Lake was chosen, it was when the two of you were together and you were both living in the Dowling property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you say you've never left the children alone. What about the February incident that was talked about, where you had gone down to the gas station and were gone for over a half an hour and the children were left alone in the house? Do you recall that event?
That has never happened. And I don't even know how she would hear about something of that such. That's never happened.
So if in fact the children texted their mother saying, Dad has been gone for a half hour, we don't know when he's coming back, you're saying that never happened?
The same text string that you're talking about that was cut off actually shows Ava saying that he was actually in the driveway. So the whole text was never shown from what you presented, but I do have them if we need to show them.
You were talking about the April event that you were in, but there had been a time that you left them, you went down to a gas station or a convenience store, and there was some period of time, was there not?
That has never happened.
Okay. You agree that shouldn't happen? Correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you agree that you and Victoria had tried to make arrangements on the parenting time so the parent is available to be with the children as much as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so what's been going on for, I submit, probably a year or close to it, is that this 4-3 arrangement so that you can be with the children those 3 days a week, she can be with the children those 4 days a week. Neither one of you has to subject the children to babysitters or daycare or things of that sort, correct?
The current schedule shows my ability to compromise with Victoria and her lack to.
Again, is that not what was the basis of it, so that you could have full-time with the time that you have the kids, and she could have full-time when she had the kids?
Correct.
Okay, you talked about the electronics.
Yes.
You agree, do you not, that you and Victoria agree that there shouldn't be social media such as YouTube and Facebook and Snapchat and all that stuff, correct?
Right. I don't even like that they have iPads. I've asked that she could keep them at her home, but she wants to send them with. But I absolutely do not want them on social media. I think it hurts children.
Okay, and I submit, I don't think you two disagree on that.
Right.
But you said that you did not hamper the children of communicating with their mother, but you have hampered the oldest child texting her mother at various times, have you not?
I do not want my 9-year-old, who was 8 when we were talking about this, having the ability to text random numbers of people. And so I told Victoria that when they're at my house, they're not allowed to have cell phones. If I cannot control what she does at her house, if she wants them to have cell phones, but I feel that it's reasonable for me as a parent to say that an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old do not need cell phones until they are alone.
Well, I understand your position that you're saying that the 8-year-old should not have a cell phone. So you're also saying that she is limited of her ability to text her mother, but doing that through you. Is that
No,
what I understand goes on?
She can call. She would much prefer to call or talk, and it would allow the children that don't know how to read or write to communicate as well.
Okay, but I guess my question was that you are curbing her ability to text her mother because you don't let her use the iPad there. Is that correct?
I feel that she would be curbing my ability to make a judgment call on having children with cell phones at my house.
So
If the children want to communicate, they should absolutely and do absolutely.
My question is that you're curbing her ability, whatever reasons you've got, but you're curbing her ability to use her iPad to contact her mother.
I am not allowing Ava to have a cell phone, correct?
Have you done any analysis of the school districts between Gull Lake and Penfield?
My father went to Penfield and
My question is, yes or no, have you done any analysis of the school districts of Gull Lake and Penfield?
yes, and Gull Lake scores higher in all of them.
What analysis did you do?
I've just seen the data from how the schools perform, their education levels, their facilities, the ages of the schools, the quality of the teachers and sports programs. And both Victoria and I have always agreed that Gull Lake Community Schools is far better. And
What
Penfield
analysis? My question is, what analysis did you do between the two schools?
I've just looked at the ratings of what the schools earn and the reflection of how it ends up with property values and how people everyone wants to go to Gull Lake Community Schools that lives in the area. It's very
wait a minute,
desirable.
that's quite a hyperbole. What do you mean everybody wants to go to Gull Lake? I don't want to go to Gull Lake, so how do you
Well,
come
you
up with
already
that?
read. Of course, I'm saying that Gull Lake Community Schools their school districts are better than others. That's just the sad truth of our country. That not all schools are created equal, and Gull Lake is by far the best in the districts.
Okay. Are you in Gull Lake District?
Am I in Gull Lake District? No.
You live in Gull Lake District.
No, I live in Delton, Kellogg District.
All right, so it's a school of choice, as Penfield would be a school of choice, correct?
This is the last year that it was, so now they are permanently enrolled. If they obtain this year, they would be permanently enrolled and do no longer have to have it as school of choice. So if they attend this year, they'll never have to do that again.
Don't have a question. Hold up. When did you and Victoria have this discussion about the school district?
When Ava was going to be enrolled in kindergarten.
Okay, and is that the last discussion that you've had about that?
No.
Have you had discussion? What's the last time you had discussion?
The last major discussion we had was when we were separating, that Victoria promised she would never pull Ava out of school because it would traumatize her. She's a very routine child and she likes the comfort and the sustainability and the friendships that she's made. It would completely devastate her.
Just a minute, I asked about the discussion. I didn't.
That was our discussion. That's what we discussed. And so
Okay.
she told me that she would never do that.
When was the discussion?
This would have been probably a month or two after I found out she was having an affair. So that would have been.
Again, give me a date rather than going off on these tangents.
There is no specific date. I would be guessing if there was a date, but it would be around 2 months after Christmas.
Okay, so this is the time that Ava was already in school, correct?
Correct.
And the discussion was, well, it wouldn't be good to take her out of school in the middle of her school year.
No, she
Correct.
promised that they would always go to Gull Lake Community Schools. That was
Always go.
yes, that she would never pull them out of the school.
And was that some sort of a quid pro quo agreement that you gave up something for that negotiated statement?
No, it was just to protect our children. That she was trying to protect her children, and I was trying to protect my children, and we both agreed that that would hurt them. And so
Protect them from what?
Protect them from their relationships, their familiarity, their family, the ties with the district.
And the
And
family,
being
the
best
only
school.
family connection would be your side of the family, correct?
Keeping them in the same school district, it isn't about when I went there, it is about them receiving the best education possible, which is from that district, which is bigger than just that.
It's what?
It's bigger. Their education means everything for their success in life, and it's the best school district in the area.
You made a comment that was, I guess, a little surprising to me for whatever that's worth, but you sleep in the same bed with all of your children?
Absolutely, and I love every moment.
That's a yes or no. Thank you.
Absolutely,
And-
yes.
So you have a 9-year-old girl sleeping in your bedroom with the other 2 children in your bed? Is that?
Yeah, yeah, and
Do
they
you
love
feel
it.
that is healthy for the relationship?
Yes, they crave it. They ask for it every day. They have not slept in their own beds for probably almost 2 years, year and a half.
So how long do you anticipate that'll go on? When they're all 16 or 17 or what?
I'll take it as long as I can get it, because I know one day I'll wake up and they won't want to be in the bed, and I'll be sad that I don't have that time with them anymore.
Well, rather than leaving it to the children, as a parent, do you think it is healthy for the well-being of the children that you're sleeping with a teenager in your bed?
If Ava wants to continue sleeping in my bed until she's 90 years old, she will.
Victoria had suggested alternatives of the parenting time. In fact, she even said if you wanted the weekends, she'd take the time during the week of the 5 days and 1 weekend a month. Is that something that would be acceptable to you?
No, because that would cut my time that I have the children more than in half, but it does show that she's able to compromise her schedule.
And why would that not be acceptable to you if she's willing to give you the weekends because you were complaining that the weekends were not available to you?
Because then I would only see my children 8 days a month.
Okay. She had also indicated to you if the 4-3 continued on that she would give you the 5th week weekend with some adjustments to her. Would that not accomplish something very similar?
I would be willing to accept it in reverse. If she wants to accept her own deal as that, then I would do that. So just flip it. Instead of it being Victoria that does that, I'll do it.
Okay, tell me what you would be acceptable to you,
I'll be
other than
able to
the
accept
2255.
a 2255 if she would want to do week on, week off, but I don't think that would be good for her or me because the kids would see us. It'd be too long to go without seeing the children. But I just want an equal amount of time. What's fair for the children, what was always supposed to. I'm just asking for an equal amount of time with the children, and however it gets provided, I'm willing to compromise with. But so far, I've never heard a situation where one parent has all the weekends and Mondays forever, and the other parent has 0 and no holiday time. That's not equal, it's not half. I'm not asking for more than half. I never filed for full custody. I'm purely just wanting everything to be fair for the children.
All right, let's go to the support. You have not provided any support since the separation in paying any money to Victoria for the care of the children, have you?
When they're with me, I pay what I need.
That wasn't the question. Have you paid any money to Victoria since the separation for support?
Well, pay her for what? I'm confused with what your question is.
It's a yes or no. You paid it or you haven't paid it?
Paid her for what? I don't understand what you're asking.
For support of the children.
I've never given Victoria a check for any reason.
Okay. And you haven't paid any money since the separation to reimburse her for the insurance payments of $345 a month, have you?
I paid for just over a year's worth, but again, I'm willing to split it with her or provide my own for them.
And my question to you is that since the separation, you have not paid any money to Victoria for the cost of insurance.
That's
correct?
not true. I paid for a year after for the separation.
When did you pay?
When we divided our assets and financial.
All right, listen to my question.
Your Honor, he did answer the question. He asked and answered.
Well, go ahead, clarify again, Mr. Schaefer, but I think you did answer it.
What is the date that you paid, last date that you paid anything for the insurance cost?
When we split up our assets, when we divided everything that we owned, she put down the cost of her medical and I provided 12 months of it up front. So the first full year was paid for, even though I didn't know if she'd pulled the same job for that long.
That wasn't my question. My question, what date is the last date you paid anything for insurance?
We're gonna have to go.
It was a whole year worth. I don't know what the date that would have been.
Gentlemen,
Year
gentlemen,
after.
hold on if we can. Unfortunately, we just had a fire alarm go off in our building, so we have to vacate. Hold on, it's off. Must have been an error or something, so go ahead, I'm sorry.
But we might get a notification. We'll
If we see flames, Judge, we'll tell you.
Okay,
Since a year ago from this date, have you paid anything for dental bills?
Yes, I paid for Everly to get a tooth pulled.
And what was the date that you paid?
I would have to look up in the records, but I'm sure I could find it somewhere.
You don't know what date it was?
Not off the top of my head, no.
How much did you pay?
It was over 500, less than 1,000.
Were you and Victoria living together at that time?
No,
You said you went to Seattle for training. How long were you in Seattle?
I was in Seattle for approximately 5.5 days.
Who cared for the children during that time?
Victoria had them for most of that, and my parents on the end of it had them.
So your parents do step in on times that you are not available to be with the children, correct?
Correct.
And your statement that you were always with your children when you had the parenting time is not totally accurate, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When the children are with you, are they all still bathing in the sink?
Not Ava, just Eli, the 3-year-old, and Everly.
Okay.
But they enjoy that time.
You gave some testimony about a septic system not being up to par, as I understand it, to warrant different plumbing in the house. Did I understand that correctly?
No, in order for lakes to expand or make additions or add extra bathrooms, you have to call the health and safety department to come and approve it. And recently they have came and approved a new septic system plan and allowing an addition on the lake. But you can't just add bathrooms on a lake when there's no city sewer. So there's a whole
Okay,
process.
so you haven't got the permits to do any additional things, correct?
The permits haven't been issued, they've been approved. Correct. So I'm not paying for them, they've just approved the plan for when I want to. Correct.
You said that you have a plan to purchase the property. Do you have a signed agreement to that effect?
No, I was just with my parents. They tried to give me the house for free, and I just told them that I would pay for it. They were gifted the home by their parents.
What are the terms of this agreement to purchase the house?
That I will pay $130,000 for the home
When?
whenever they want me to stay there because they love me and the kids being around.
And when was this agreement entered into?
This agreement, just verbally within the last year. Then we continue to talk about it.
What year?
There's no written agreement. It's just something that my parents have always wanted, was for me and the kids to live on the lake.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Moldovan, any redirect?
Yeah, now how often, Jesse, do you use your parents to watch the kids?
How often do I use them to watch the
Yeah.
kids? I never used them to watch the kids. I did when I went to Seattle, but usually I just go over and we hang out. They miss seeing them. Usually on school nights, we don't get to go over and hang out with them as much. So they have a lot of time where they have not been able to see their grandparents.
Had you and Victoria discussed that arrangement for you to take this Seattle trip, with respect to the parenting time? Or no?
No,
Okay. Obviously your parents showed up, to pick up the kids on your day? Is that how it worked?
correct.
Okay. And how often are you helping out? This was a trip for your brother, right? Or your
Right.
brother's business?
Right.
How often are you helping your brother with this business?
This was the first real work trip with them. I don't have a flexible enough schedule anymore to just do this
Okay.
full time.
So, no, speaking of that flex, so your flexible schedule is because of your job right now?
Right,
Is that, and that's flipping homes or whatever, right?
right, but I'm not going to continue flipping. When I've received some sort of permanent schedule, I will find a different job, but everything I call, no one just works Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay, so as this schedule that you've been following, it's been a schedule out of convenience for Victoria?
Just for Victoria, but it's hard to find a regular job that only works you Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Okay, so do you believe Victoria had to make a comment, had to make adjustments to her work schedule to do this parent time schedule?
I think that she's always worked 4 days a week. I think that they gave her the choice of having Friday off or Monday off, and she chose Monday. But I'm with the kids the whole entire actual work week.
Okay, and when you guys, if you looked at the calendar, is it fair to say that there's 4 nights of the week the children sleep at Victoria's house and 3 nights they sleep at your house?
Correct.
Okay. However, if we look at the days, do you pick them up early Tuesday morning?
Right, 8 a.m.
And then when do you drop them off on Friday?
Friday, 4:30.
So was that a schedule, something that you guys had discussed to make it so it was roughly equal?
No, this was never discussed to make it equal. It was just me at the beginning helping Victoria with her work schedule. It was always supposed to be temporary.
Okay. And again, it was your guys' kind of thought process that to limit childcare?
Right, to
What?
never have the children in an actual child or daycare.
Okay. So your long-term plan will be to get a different job outside on top of the flipping the house job?
Correct, I'll always continue to buy and sell real estate. I'll work a normal 30, 40-hour job, and then I'll also continue the emergency response plan.
Okay. Is that something you think you'll be able to sustain and support yourself on?
Yes.
Okay. When you were working for that solar energy company, what were you earning?
I was earning $35 an hour, working approximately 60 hours a week.
Okay, so what would that equate to? Probably 60, 70,000 a year or what?
I never worked there for a full year, but it was about 7 months, I would say.
Okay, so if you were to go back and work for them full-time, you have enough income to support yourself and the family?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They would definitely want me back,
All right,
but they work the weekdays.
I got you.
They don't work weekends.
What you said the children going to Gull Lake is no longer school of choice after this year?
Correct. If they go this year, they're then considered permanent Gull Lake students. So they would never have to file for a school of choice anymore. It would just be, they're always enrolled in Gull Lake Community School District.
Okay, and so that won't be an issue that you have to apply for each year after this year?
Correct.
Okay, and it's my understanding, both you and Victoria applied for the school for Gull Lake Schools for this most recent school year?
Correct.
This one coming up in the fall, I should say?
Right.
Okay. What did you have to submit?
We had to submit a final school of choice document showing why they would like to go there and if they'd ever been there before, if they have any siblings in the school district or if they've had any family members or whatnot in the district, and then they want to see if there's any family ties to the district. They're just trying to judge people's, how they've been in the district and why they want to be there.
Okay, and I think Mr. Schaefer asked you about what research you did. Did you talk to other people about the school and Penfield schools versus Gull Lake schools and things like that?
Yep, I've talked to people, friends. I went to Delton for a few years and it was not a great school district. My father went to Penfield for a few years. He didn't like it. He ended up teaching at Gull Lake Community Schools for almost 30 years.
Okay.
I'm going to object to the opinions, hearsay of third parties, Your Honor.
Okay, sustained.
That's fine. So you feel you've done enough investigation and to make a decision as a parent?
Correct.
Okay. So the sleeping arrangement, Do you believe that that's not appropriate?
I feel it's very appropriate that they sleep with me. That's what they want. It makes them feel safe.
Okay, do you, yeah, I mean, is it fair to say that you have a pretty tight bond with these children?
Absolutely. And one day when they don't sleep in my bed, I'll miss it. I know I will.
Okay, nothing's inappropriate about it,
No, absolutely not.
Okay, and again, you guys I've been following this 4-3 overnight schedule for almost a year.
Correct.
But was it your idea or your understanding that would never be the rate of the permanent?
It was just my willingness to compromise when things weren't out of hand.
And what do you mean by that? Your willingness to compromise, so because there was a different schedule from before, or
Well,
what?
just because I was always told at the beginning that when we were going to divorce, that she told me she would never try to take the kids from me, and that we would have equal amount of time. And when I received the first divorce documents, she was filing for full physical and legal custody. So I had to obtain a lawyer to defend my rights as father.
And again, you think an equal arrangement that gives you some weekend time?
Right. So when I agreed to that schedule, it was before those papers were filed to me.
Okay,
And now they're being tried to make permanent.
all right. Why do you want some weekend time with the kids?
They miss bonding with me. They always ask to come over and have friends over. They want to play on the lake or go swimming when it's not just summertime, or want to go on the ice or wake up and just have fun family time. And I don't get any of that.
Okay,
They don't get any of that.
so you want the weekends so you can have more family time on the weekends when the kids are outside of school, is that accurate?
Right. They just miss playing with me at the house.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Schaefer, anything else?
Yes, follow up. When you get this real 40-hour or 30-hour week job, that is going to go contrary to your ability to personally care for the minor children during the weekday. Is that not true?
No, because when I'm searching, I'll find one that's maybe 3 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day, knock it all out when I don't have the children. And that would sustain, I have very minimal bills, that would sustain that. And then on top of the other things that I could do for extra income, I will.
Well, that's kind of pie in the sky if you can find such a job as that. But if you've got
Our argument.
that is just the preface of my question. But what do you have any such job lined up?
I can get one whenever I need to, and whenever I have to. I need to figure out what the schedule is first.
If the schedule were to be such that your job obligations are going to conflict when the children were with you, who's going to care for the children?
I won't take a job that conflicts with the time with the children. So I will schedule my work around the times that they're not at the house.
All right. That philosophy, do you extend that to Victoria also? That if she can't find a job that allows her to be with the children all the time on the schedule, then she shouldn't take that job either?
I don't feel this is an isolated incident. I think every parent has to make their judgment call on finding a time that aligns with being with their family and helping out their family. Every parent has to work around their work and their children. That's just the nature.
Okay, I don't necessarily quarrel with you, but I'm saying that if that's your philosophy and it's good for you, so what's good for the goose is good for the gander, correct? That would be an acceptable philosophy from Victoria's standpoint too.
My philosophy is to spend as much time as I can with the children when they're children. Childhood is very short, so I will make sacrifices to make that happen.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Moldovan?
No questions, Your Honor.
Moldovan, next witness.
Your Honor, defense rests.
Mr. Schaefer, any rebuttal?
Yeah, I'll call my client at this point in time for rebuttal.
Okay. Go ahead.
A number of things that were talked about. First of all, the job that you're having now is with Gallagher, correct?
Yes.
And have you received accommodations from your employer to coincide to the parenting time that you currently have?
Yes. The original job I took, I'm supposed to have a random day off anywhere from Monday to Friday. And I told him I could not work there anymore unless it could be Mondays. And then on top of that, that I cannot come in till at least 8:30 in the morning every week on Tuesdays, which they did not like either, but they made a lot of accommodations.
It is accurate that the insurance is being paid by you for the children?
Yes, $345 a month.
And is there any validity to what we heard from your husband about him saying that he has paid you some $1,700 for health insurance?
Yes, I've not ever received a single dollar of that.
Has he paid any of the dental bills since the separation?
I'm assuming whatever dentist bill he's talking about, he's paid, but the rest of everything else and any urgent care, any well now visits, anything else was mine.
And he has talked about taking the children for vaccines. Were you aware of that situation?
That was not this, maybe over a year ago, the kids needed a couple of vaccines to be updated to go to school.
Was that after the separation?
Yes.
Okay. He had talked about never leaving the children alone, and you had testified earlier about a November event and an April event. And were those accurate as far as you knew from the notification of your children?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, to the hearsay, to the hearsay.
Just
I'm not
saying.
asking for what they said. There's a lot of testimony about the school district. First of all, do you have any family members or family connection to the Gull Lake School District?
I do not.
And was there discussion to put them into Gull Lake when you two guys were together?
Yes. There's not many other great school districts, and that was the best one around.
Okay. What is your opinion as to changing the school district for one who has just finished third grade, one finished first grade, and one's not in school? Do you see a detriment of changing the school district?
No, I think they would do. I would think they'd do okay.
And is Penfield consistent with your testimony before, equidistant between your husband and you?
Yes, it is.
You had indicated that if this 2255 existed, that you would probably have to quit your job and find some other job. Is that your opinion?
Yes, I would have to find some other source of employment and hope it had insurance.
As far as you know, currently your husband does not have insurance on the children for medical care?
No, he is not.
He made some comment that you had an affair in Christmas of 22. Is that accurate?
I had a friend that I was talking to, but that was definitely not why the relationship ended.
Why did the relationship end?
Our main problems were money problems, were house problems, job problems, insurance problems. And after I realized none of those things were ever going to happen, no matter how many years I waited, I went and got a job and I left.
Do you believe there's an established custodial environment with the children this last year as to the 4-3 arrangement?
I do.
Your Honor, objection, I'd call for that. It calls for a legal conclusion.
Also,
Well, I think it,
she can state what she feels as far as working, but I don't think she can make a statement as to establish custodial environment.
were you aware that your husband is sleeping every night with the 3 children in one bed?
I know there's not enough beds for all of them, but no, I guess it's not something I've talked about with him.
Do you feel comfortable with that arrangement?
I feel if the kids think it's necessary, that maybe I'm not uncomfortable with that.
Okay. Do you currently drink alcohol?
I do.
And how often do you drink?
Occasionally.
Do you perceive that as any sort of problem in your moral makeup?
I do not.
Have you ever been convicted on driving?
No.
We talked about the electronics. What is your opinion in relation to the children being on social media?
I agree with Jesse that they should not be on any type of social media where they can contact other people. But I for sure think they should always be able to text me. And I also think they should be able to text their dad at any time for safety reasons, for anything. That should not ever be restricted unless it's excessive. But I do not consider 3 texts a day to be excessive.
And have you been curbed in receiving texts from your children because of rules in Jesse's house?
Yes, when the iPads go to his house, they're allowed to use them at his house, but they can absolutely not contact me. So when I go to text Ava goodnight, it says message undelivered, message undelivered. That's what it says every single time I text her, and it's something he shuts off when the iPads go to his house. So he wants the iPads there, but they cannot be used for communication.
You have given a number of alternatives. Is your preference?
I'm sorry, you broke up. I can't.
Okay.
I didn't hear that either. I don't think anybody heard that.
Lost you
Okay,
for a
good.
while.
Okay. What is your preference in relation to the parenting time, Victoria, going forward?
I think the schedule we have now works best for the kids and I, and even Jesse. I'd like to continue what we're doing, but I understand the need for weekends. I could give up a weekend a month, but that is absolutely it. I think they are better at my house.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Moldovan?
Thank you. Ms. Vavra, so when you text the kid, you text your oldest daughter, say goodnight, do you ever call?
Yeah, we do call sometimes, but sometimes I don't really want to bother everyone. So I like to be able to text her, good night, love you. I would love to have a response, but that's not an option, obviously.
Calls have never been blocked though, right?
No, calls have not been blocked. I have to text Jesse and ask if I can have them call me, and then
And he does.
Blocked.
Okay, and he accommodates that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So based on the current schedule, you get the kids Friday afternoon, right? After school?
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and till Tuesday morning, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if the court adopted that 2255 schedule and your days were Monday, Tuesday, and it was your weekend, let's say, you would still get the kids Friday afternoon, have them Saturday, have them Sunday, have them Monday, like currently, right? And
Okay.
if you had Tuesday, then that would be the day that you would actually be switched from an overnight, right?
So what's the point of changing anything if it's so close?
So, well, your testimony was you'd have to quit your job. So
Yeah, I'll have to find daycare for Tuesday, which right now
Okay.
no one's in daycare.
So your parents live in the area, your dad testified, and your sister's in the area, right?
No, I'm in Battle Creek and they are in Marshall.
Okay, and, but it would be feasible to, if you needed to, rely on them to see the kid, watch the kids on a short-term basis. Could they do that?
They would not. They all work full-time jobs.
Okay, now, but there's daycare options available?
If I could afford daycare, I guess I could drop them off at daycare somewhere, but I would rather that I did not put my kids in daycare when we have a schedule that works.
And again, right now, it works, but you don't work on Mondays,
Correct.
right? Okay.
They only on
So
Tuesday.
Tuesday would be the only day that would need some assistance, right?
Yeah, but why do that when we have something that works?
And Jesse indicated in his that he would be willing to help out with the kids to get them to school or whatever.
That way he can have an extra day and I lose one, is what that really boils down to.
Well, is that a viable alternative as opposed to quitting your job?
No,
Okay. How long have you worked for Gallagher?
almost 2 years.
Okay. You said they made accommodations to your work schedule for this?
Yes.
So what was the first date you started?
I
Aaron?
want to October of 2 years ago,
2022,
I think.
okay. So, and then you guys separated January of 2023?
Yes,
Okay, so during October, November, December, when you guys had not separated, you had a different work schedule?
I worked, I would have a random day off, and I always went in very early. So I told them after the separation, I could absolutely would not work Mondays, and I have to come in late on Tuesdays to get them ready for school until dad can pick them up.
Okay, and
I
that
made
was,
as many accommodations as I possibly can.
all right, and that was based on that arrangement that you guys had worked on with this sharing the children equally, right?
Not equally, yes, but me 4 nights a week and him 3. Yes, that was an accommodation made to make that and have the kids never in daycare.
And you'll agree that that this current schedule that you're doing now is not the original schedule that you did when you first separated, right?
For a very short period of time, a matter of weeks, Jesse had them a little bit more time until work allowed me to make this accommodation. So yes, I had to fight them for this.
Okay. And Mr. Schaefer asked you about medical bills and dental bills. You don't know what Jesse's paid for when he takes the kids, right?
No.
He's never asked you, he's never presented a medical bill to you for reimbursement.
No.
Okay. And you testified you didn't present those bills to him either?
I did initially in the beginning. In the initial, I presented him with, I think, the first 2 dentist appointments. And after he gave me a retaliation of why they were too little to go to the dentist and it was really unnecessary and all these things, I presented those bills, and from that point after, I just paid them. It was easier, and that's just, I wasn't going to fight him for it.
And that was, when was that? That was right after you separated?
Yes.
So these bills that we discussed most recently, those were never presented to him.
Correct. It was not worth the fight.
And now you said your dispute that Jesse paid you the $1,700 and when you guys first separated?
No, he did not.
So when you guys divided up your bank accounts, didn't they accommodate that payment in that distribution?
No, but he also says that we didn't split our retirement, and he made me pay cash for that to him. So
Okay.
Jesse had plenty of accommodations that are not being looked at.
All
But no,
right.
I did not get paid for health insurance.
Okay, so you dispute that he gave you extra money when you separated?
Correct.
Okay. Have you asked him to pay you anything else in the last 6 months?
No, like I said, it's not worth the fight. I'm not arguing with him for no reason.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Schaefer?
Further.
Okay, thank you. Any additional rebuttal, Mr. Schaefer?
No additional rebuttal.
Okay. Mr. Moldovan, any rebuttal?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer, would you like to do closing argument?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, you have before you, in spite of all the other cases that you have of two people who have done fairly well, I think, in communicating for the benefit of their children. At the time of the separation, I think they were both of like mind, saying, we don't want these kids to be in daycare, so let's figure out how not to have the kids in daycare. And they did. And this has been working for a year or more, whereby it's a 4-3 circumstance. My client has gotten accommodations for her employment to make this work. Her testimony, it does work. The kids are able to deal with it, and it ought to be continued. And I think that is the first throng of this. In conjunction with that, Your Honor, I think there's an established custodial environment, albeit a 1-year time period, but the custodial environment is not necessarily determined by the length of it being in effect. But this has been in effect by agreement, and it has worked. And I ask that that be continued, especially in light of my client accommodating that through her employment. Keep in mind that the testimony is that the breakdown in this marriage is because the husband in this particular matter would not deal with the insurance costs when you have 3 little kids is substantial, and that had to be dealt with. My client dealt with that, got an employment with insurance that she pays $345 a month for to cover these kids. The husband would not do that for whatever reasons. And I'll suggest what those reasons are. These people are going to be divorced, and they're going to go their separate lives. And this needs to be adjusted or stay the same to continue on the best interest of the kids. I am suggesting that a school district halfway between the parties makes sense to accommodate both of their travel obligations, and that is Penfield. That is equal between the two homes. My client has a permanent home. She has bought a 3-bedroom home which will accommodate the children. Apparently the father feels obliged to stay with his parents. And that is a driving factor that you hear through all of his testimony, that he lives in a home owned by his parents. He lives in a home that I suggest has 1 bedroom. He says it has 2 bedrooms. But what is more striking, and I think problematical, is that he has got 3 kids and he living and sleeping in the same bed. And on cross-examination, his position is, well, as long as the kids want to sleep, if they want to sleep until they're 90, we're going to all sleep in the same bed. That is not healthy for the well-being of the children, in all due respect. You've got a 9-year-old daughter that is of age, and he did not back off of the circumstance that is going to be okay even when she's a teenager. That's problematical. The rest of the best interest factors are such that I think they both obviously love their children. They both obviously have a great bond with their children. I think the stability factor weighs in favor of mother. She is employed at a real job, that she is caring for the medical, the dentistry. We heard testimony that the father was reluctant to take the kids to urgent care because he didn't think it was serious enough. But from a general standpoint, both of these parents have done what they should do for the children with some extremes. We are asking that the current situation be continued as the parenting time, there be joint legal and physical custody of the children, and that if in fact the court is concerned about a weekend, but I'm not sure that should be a big concern, that there be a fifth weekend available to the father with an adjustment of 1 day during the week toward the mother, as suggested in our argument before and testimony before. There should be child support based on the guidelines, overnights, income. We have heard testimony that my client's income is approximately $57,000 a year. We have heard from testimony and the trial brief that the father makes $60,000 to $70,000 a year. And that's what he certainly could make. He said that if he works full-time, he chooses not to work full-time. So I think that is the number that gets plugged in on the child support. The most important thing here is to take into consideration what's going on in the last year, what's in the best interest of the children. I am suggesting to the court to continue what these parties have dealt with as to the child time with each parent continue on. At this point in time, they have dealt with it. They made accommodations for it. That the school district, beginning in the fall, go to Penfield. That's halfway between the children, homes with each parent. It makes sense that that will alleviate some of the travel time. And we ask that that be included in this. Your Honor, that is the request, and I think the proofs support that for the best interest of the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moldovan?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Schaefer and I agree. I believe that this case here is an appropriate one for joint legal and joint fiscal custody. I believe that there is an established custodial environment that's been established with both parents here. Based on that schedule, I think both children look to the other, the parent that had parenting time for their guidance and for discipline and necessities of life and whatnot. And so under that arrangement, when there is a joint established custodial environment, the court, should look at awarding parenting time in a roughly equal time if parties are unable to agree. Now, the schedule that these parties agreed to do and have been following is certainly one that's kind of based out of convenience and my client's consideration for Ms. Vabra's work schedule and her requirement to get to work early, and based on his current flexibility with respect to being self-employed as a house flipper. But the testimony was clear that the situation was never meant to be a permanent one. And it doesn't allow my client time to have holidays based upon the ones that fall on the weekends. And it doesn't allow my client time to have quality time with on non-school days. I don't think that's in the children's best interests. Our proposal with respect to the 2255 schedule really has a very marginal impact on mom's current time with her children. When you look at it, all that schedule does is it impacts her on a Tuesday and a Tuesday evening. Again, most parents have to make arrangements and accommodations, and the testimony was clear. If needed, Mr. Vabra will help out, but he needs to get a job that doesn't require him to just work on the times that are off. He understands that, and I think his testimony was clear here that he wants to be available for his children, but he knows he needs to provide for them, and is looking for more of a consistent, regular 9-to-5 job that can be adjusted based on a consistent schedule. That's what's important here for the children. Consistency in their schools. They've been attending Gull Lake schools since the beginning. The parties have agreed every year to keep them in Gull Lake schools because of the children's potential there, the connections that they have to the school district and their involvement there. The kids have developed friendships. They're doing well, and there's really no reason to upset that and change that now, especially in light of the fact that even mom, while this case was pending, requested that children attend Gull Lake schools again for the fall. And so that was an agreement they reached when they were together. It was an agreement that they've reached since they've separated, and it's clearly in the children's best interest to continue that. There's been no testimony that the kids are struggling in school and having any issues with their education. So again, upsetting that and changing that because of the divorce is really not in the children's best interest, Your Honor. And I would submit that they need to maintain that school, that education there at that school. So with respect to the breakdown here, obviously we dispute the real reasons of why these parties are breaking up, but the fact of the matter is the marriage is over, and they both kind of agreed to that, and they've been able to work out for the most part an arrangement for these kids, and I think that's commendable that they are able to do that. So really, what we're looking at here is what's the schedule that makes the most sense here, and is it you continue Dad's current time with the kids being the midweek, making him responsible for getting the kids to and from school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning, every single week, and again putting them to bed on the school nights, making their lunches, and doing all that, and then allow mom to have Friday after school, Saturday for Saturday, Sunday fun day, and Monday. Again, taking them to school on just those days. That doesn't seem like it's a schedule that is beneficial to these parents in order to have quality time with the children. So I think that's important here for the court to look at that. Is that a change in the pattern? It's an adjustment, but I don't believe it's a significant change when you really look at the whole scheme of things here. Again, we'd ask the court order a holiday schedule on a rotating basis consistent with the Calhoun County policy. With respect to child support, my client certainly has no objection to contributing towards the children's expenses. He has paid what he has been informed about. When he takes the children to medical appointments, pays for the bills. So again, that was something that I think these parties have worked on, and maybe there's some disagreement in regards to each of them, but the fact is there's never been an issue with him not wanting to pay for his children. So again, I think child support, if it's appropriate, we really need to look at the inputs here. And I believe the testimony from mom was that her net income was somewhere around $57,000, or $56,000. It's a different amount for the gross, obviously, but I also look at, she also has a license as a licensed realtor, which is another source of income that she maintains with her position at Keller Williams. So there's certainly there's an issue regarding her income and what to use for the child support. I really dispute the employer making accommodations. It doesn't, perhaps going in late on a Tuesday isn't an accommodation. I really look at it as this was a schedule that these parents said, let's split the time with these kids. Here's what we're going to do. Dad's going to help out. But it was never meant to be a permanent solution. So again, I'd ask the court to really look at that schedule. I think a schedule that, again, the 2255 schedule seems to fit more with our version of our belief in regards to mom's work schedule. Obviously she disputes that, but we believe that is the case. With respect to tax exemptions, I would ask that the court rotate those equally. I think that's certainly reasonable in light of this parenting time schedule, even with the current one or with the one that we've asked the court to adopt. So I know Mr. Schaefer has an issue with the sleeping arrangements, but he asked his client that same question. And I think it's important to say that her response was, she doesn't have a problem with it if that's appropriate for the kids, or if the kids are wanting, if the kids are okay with it. It's clear these parties have a good bond with it. I don't think there's any allegation that either of them have mistreated or somehow, have improperly behaved in the presence of the children. I think they both love their children. And as a parent, I think we want to spend as much time with our kids as possible. And it's always a difficult and worse situation because you no longer can see them every day. And so I think I commend these parties on wanting to try to maximize their schedule so they have time with the kids when they're not working. But the fact of the matter remains is that we as parents have an obligation to support our children and to make the best arrangements we can. So again, Your Honor, we think the situation here that is a joint custodial arrangement, is the parenting time schedule consistent with that 2255 schedule, with mom having Monday, Tuesday, dad having Wednesday, Thursday each week. It's consistent, stable. It provides the children with something they can rely on, and it also gives each parent quality time with the children on non-school days. And we'd ask that the court adopt a holiday schedule that rotates the holidays, so each party shares in those. With respect to child support, obviously the court's gonna order child support consistent with the formula. I think their incomes are significantly equal that it's really going to be a minimal issue, and I'd ask that that be effective at some point in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Schaefer, anything else?
Yes, just a little bit, a couple comments, Your Honor. As testified before, the holidays probably should be divided up pursuant to the schedule. We have no difficulty with that. Comment on the income. The testimony was the $57,000 figure was the total income that she had, which included both her day job and the little amount that she had in relation to the realtor's license. I think that the argument being made, say, well, this is a marginal change or impact on my clients. I think it's a major impact on the client as to the job. And we are submitting, and I think it's borne out, that the reason that she went out and got this full-time job was the insurance, and he wouldn't do it. And now she has done that. She has carved out this job, and to get the insurance, pays her $345 a month without any reimbursement, and to accommodate the need for the children. So that needs to be taken in consideration. What is intact now is working. I think it ought to be continued. If one weekend, the fifth weekend, whatever, for the father is going to accommodate that, we don't have any problem with that. My client has indicated that he is willing to do that. But that argument is kind of spurious from the standpoint that he now has the benefit all during the week to be with the children, especially in the summer. He has testified over and over again that his job is such that he's flexible, so he spends his afternoons with the kids on the days there. So the suggestion, well, there's something magical about the weekends, I think kind of falls short of reality here. But Your Honor, I guess I agree with opposing counsel that we've got people who have a great relationship with their kids, and they tried to accommodate that. And I'm respectfully asking that the situation continue as best as it is in order to protect my client's efforts on her job in this particular matter. And so I would ask that it be continued as most as you can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, that concludes the proof and argument in this matter. Obviously, it's going to take some time for the court to go over all the notes and the issues in the matter, so we're not going to be able to conclude it today. Do you have any preferences, Mr. Moldovan, Mr. Schaefer, as you want to set a date now, or you want us to call your offices, or what?
Probably calling the office is going to be best because my schedule is in flux all the time.
Okay.
That's fine, Your Honor. I have no
Okay,
problem.
we'll call your offices this afternoon and work out a time when we can do time to do a ruling. Probably would be, we can schedule those in usually on Wednesday afternoon at 1, so we'll try for that. But we'll see what your schedules accommodate. Okay,
Okay,
All right,
great.
thanks,
Thank you.
Ron.
thank you. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Yeah, everyone have a good weekend and 4th of July. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Court will note, as Mr. Mullivan has stated, his client is appearing on phone as he was not able to get on and zoom in. So, but he's hearing by phone. This matter is heard for trial on May 31st, 2024, and continued on June 27, 2004, at which time we concluded. Is there anything else, Mr. Schaefer, before the court grants its ruling?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Mullivan?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, the court will first find that the testimony in this case does provide a statutory or satisfy the statutory basis for a granting of divorce, so the court will grant the divorce. The parties were married on July 7, 2017 and separated approximately January 1, 2023, so we have approximately a 5.5-year marriage. The parties have 3 children, Ava 8, Everly 5, and Eli 2. In this matter, the court always has and always looks at credibility of again, the parties in every case. In this case, as it relates, unlike in many cases I have, is the court did not find really any substantial contradictions between the testimony, and the court did find that both of the parties were credible in the testimony that they provided. The plaintiff had originally requested physical custody in her complaint. However, the court would note both attorneys acknowledged on closing that this case was appropriate for an award of joint legal and joint physical custody. Pursuant to MCL 722.26A, the court must advise the parties of joint custody, and the court shall consider the factors under the Child Custody Act as delineated under MCL 722.23 and determine if the parents will be able to cooperate and generally agree concerning important decisions affecting the welfare of the children. Before I go through and examine the best interest factors, the court must determine whether an established custodial environment exists. An established custodial environment exists if over an appreciable time, the children naturally look to the custodian in that environment for guidance, discipline, necessity of life, and parental comfort. During the time that the parties were together, the evidence was shown that they both participated in the raising of the children. There has been no evidence that would refute this. Pursuant to the case of Bofasil versus Bofasil at 332 Mich. App 232, a 2020 case, the court recognized that parents can fulfill different needs and role in providing security, stability, and permanence. Recognizing this distinction, the court stated that although different, where each parent regularly and routinely is involved in the child's or the children's daily care, an established custodial environment may exist in both homes. Recently, in the case of Sabatine versus Sabatine, a Supreme Court case that was just handed down last month.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Something happened to my sound.
You lost your sound?
Can't hear right now, Your Honor.
Okay, well, we weren't saying anything, but I guess I can keep talking until such time as you may find you can hear now.
I can hear, sorry.
Did you hear the part when I was referencing the Bofasil case?
That was about right where it was right after that where it cut out. So.
Okay. I was going to say, in the recent case of Sabatine versus Sabatine, was decided last month, the Supreme Court held that the court must look at the circumstances at the time that the court is making its decision to determine whether an established custodial environment exists. In this case, the parties separated, I said previously, on or about January 1, 2023. At that time, the parties agreed to parenting time with plaintiff Friday through Monday, and plaintiff testified that within a few weeks, the parenting time schedule changed to Friday at approximately 3:00 p.m. through Tuesday morning, when defendant would pick up the children and take them to school. Defendant claims that the present schedule started after the school year began and was supposed to be only temporary schedule. Notwithstanding what either of the parties thought, the current schedule has continued for either a year or 9 months, depending upon which rendition of the testimony is accurate. Both parties testified about their relationship with the children. They testified that they have a close, loving relationship and that they have both provided guidance to the children and that the relationship is permanent. Based upon all of the testimony, it is clear that an established custodial environment does exist in the home of both of the parties. As a result, and I believe that this is why at closing that both the attorneys confirm that this should continue. When an established custodial environment exists, the court cannot change custody unless the parties present clear and convincing evidence. The court should do so. The court will now examine the best interest of each child test as delineated in this matter under MCL 722.23. The first factor the court has to look at is the love, affection, and other emotional ties existing between the parties involved and the children. Both of the parties testified that they love, have affection, and are bonded to the children. The plaintiff testified that her relationship with the children was strong. They are comfortable with her, and she is consistent. She is comfortable. So she testified she's comfortable with defendant's care of the children. Ekatina Cole, the plaintiff's sister, testified that plaintiff and the children have a very close relationship, and William Inman testified that plaintiff and the children have a close relationship. Defendant testified how he hugs and kisses the children and they reciprocate to him, and that the children love to sleep with him and there is a tight bond between he and the children. I also consider all the other testimony, but that is just a highlight. And in this case, when I do so, I find that this factor weighs equally as to both parents. Next factor is the capacity and disposition of the parties involved to give the children love, affection, guidance, and continuation in the education of raising the children in their particular religion or creed. It appears that both parties have provided the children with a loving, affectionate home and provided guidance and continue them in their education, although there is a dispute over the school, and I will address that later. Neither party addressed any religious upbringing in this case. So the court would not consider that as it relates to this factor. When I look at, again, the testimony presented and all the evidence, the court does believe that this factor weighs equally as to both parties. Next factor is the capacity and disposition of the parties involved to provide the children with food, clothing, medical care, and other remedial care recognized or permitted under the laws of the state in place of medical care and other material needs. Both of the parties have demonstrated their ability to provide for the material needs of the children. Plaintiff has complained that defendant didn't acquire full-time employment to provide medical insurance. However, the court would note that the children were on Medicaid for a time before plaintiff acquired health insurance for them. The testimony also showed that both of the parties have provided for the medical needs while the children are in their respective care. They also have been able to and have provided for the material needs, clothing, food, all of those material needs while the children are with them. So the court will weigh this factor equal as to both parties. Next factor is the length of time that the children have lived in a stable, satisfactory environment and the desirability of maintaining continuity. The court will note that the plaintiff testified she purchased a home in Battle Creek after separation. She testified that the parties did reside in the home that defendant is in for a few years before separation. She stated that the home was adequate at that time. She testified that the house only has one bedroom. However, defendant testified that the house has 2 bedrooms. He also testified he has planned to add 3 bedrooms and a bathroom now that he has had his plans approved for a new septic system. Plaintiff testified she desires to move to Marshall, where her family resides. William Inman testified that plaintiff's home is appropriate, and the court believes that both of the residents of the parties are stable and satisfactory. As a result, the court will weigh this factor equal as to both of the parties. Next factor is the permanency of the family unit of the existing or proposed custodial home or homes. In this case, neither of the parties testified that they were dating anyone seriously. although both have dated following the separation. As a result, the court will weigh this factor equally. Next factor is the moral fitness of the parties involved. Plaintiff testified she has no criminal record. Defendant testified that he had a DUI back in 2012 before he met plaintiff and had children. And defendant testified that he stopped drinking in 2015 and has not had anything to drink during the marriage. Court does not note or had heard any other testimony about the moral fitness of the parties. As a result, the court will find this factor weighs equally as to both parties. Next factor is the mental and physical health of the parties. There's been no testimony that either party has any mental or physical health issues, and as a result, the court will weigh that factor equally. Next factor is the homeschool and community record of the children. Court will note that Ava and Everly attend Gull Lake schools where they have attended their entire lives. Ava completed 3rd grade, Everly just completed kindergarten. The parties did testify that the children are doing well in school and that they have friends. It did appear that Ava did miss a significant number of days of school, and plaintiff proposes a move that would change the children's school. This would, of course, if she were to do that, would be a substantial change in the children's lives if they were to have to move school. As a result of her desire to change the school, the court will find that this factor does slightly favor defendant father. Next factor is the reasonable preference of the children. In this case, the court did interview Ava and Everly. I did not interview Eli as he is too young. The court has found the girls to be pleasant, polite, and the court will consider their preference for purposes of the best interest. Next factor is the willingness and ability of each of the parents to facilitate and encourage a close and continued parent-child relationship between the child and other parent in this matter. It does appear that the parties have attempted to accommodate each other's schedules. Each professed a willingness to continue to cooperate, and the defendant, however, did raise the issue the plaintiff did not provide him with any holiday parenting time in the last year except for Father's Day. The court does believe that the parties will be able to facilitate this in the future, and as a result, the court will weigh this factor equally. The next factor is domestic violence, regardless of whether the violence was directed against or witnessed by the children. Each of the parties testified that there was no domestic violence during the marriage. As a result, the court will not consider this factor. The last factor is any other factors the court considers to be relevant in the child custody dispute. The court doesn't believe that based upon the testimony, there's been any other factors in this particular matter. The court notes that as the court considers the factors, the court does not weigh them like baseball box scores, and the appellate courts have held that the court can give greater weight to any of the factors and not consider factors that may not be relevant. When I weigh the factors, the court finds that there is not clear and convincing evidence sufficient to change the established custodial environment in this case, and the court will therefore grant the parties joint legal and joint physical custody. Court then has to look at under parenting time as provided for under MCL 722.27A. It is presumed pursuant to the statute that best interest of the child if they have a strong relationship with both parents. Under subsection I, the court has to evaluate the best interest factors that are in dispute. Court has to consider the following factors. Number one, special circumstances or needs of the children. The court does not believe that there's any substantial circumstances or needs that the court would need to consider in this case. Next is whether the child is less than 1. The child is not. Eli is 2. And so the court will not consider that factor. Next factor, likelihood of abuse or neglect of the children during parenting time. There's been absolutely no testimony about any abuse of the children during parenting time, so the court will not consider that. Next factor, likelihood of abuse of a parent during the exercise of parenting time. Likewise, there's been no testimony about either party being abused, so the court will not give any weight to that. Next factor is inconvenience or burdensome impact of travel on the children. In this case, even though there's some distance, the children are still, again, within a reasonable distance from each of the parents, and the court will find that the transportation is not burdensome in this particular matter. Next factor is whether a parent can reasonably be expected to exercise ordered parenting time. They have exercised all of their parenting time so far. The court believes that they would in the future, and therefore the court doesn't find any, I guess you'd say, exception in this particular matter. Next factor is whether parents frequently fail to exercise parenting time, which the testimony shown that they have not. Next is threatened or actual detention of a child or children. There's been no testimony about any detention of the children. And the last is any other relevant factors. In this case, the plaintiff testified she wants the current schedule to continue. She does not want the children in daycare and believes that if the current schedule is not maintained, she will have to find another job. Her employer made accommodation for her by allowing her to have Monday off and to go in later on Tuesday to accommodate the time with the children. Defendant states that he has not had a holiday, as I stated in the last year, except Father's Day, nor has he had a weekend. The current schedule has been working well and accommodating the work schedule of both parties. As a result, the court does believe it is appropriate based upon the best interest factors as the court had previously examined, as well as the factors under MCL 722.27A parens 1, that the current schedule is working, and the court will continue the current schedule with the following exception. The parties will alternate holidays, with defendant having the next holiday, which would be Labor Day, and then alternating each holiday thereafter. Defendant will also receive the first weekend of each month, in which the entire weekend falls within the month from Friday, 6:00 p.m. through Sunday at 6:00 p.m. By example, in August, the first weekend starts on August 2nd, 2024, and the defendant shall receive that weekend. If the first weekend includes a holiday that is the plaintiff's holiday, whereby she would be entitled to an extended weekend, then the defendant would not get that first weekend, but would receive the second weekend of the month. To compensate plaintiff for this missed time, she would receive an overnight during the month from 6:00 p.m. to 6:00 p.m. on the next day, and it would be a day of her choice when she provides defendant 5 days notice of the day she wishes to receive. However, her makeup time should not be entitled to receive a holiday or time on the defendant's weekend, but on the other days. Each party would receive 2 weeks of summer vacation, which they will take precedent over the other parenting time, however, not the holidays, upon providing 30 days notice to the other party. The 2 weeks will not, as I said, would not include a holiday, and the only one that would really be applicable is the 4th of July for the party that would receive that day. The next matter the court has to consider is school. In this case, as I stated, Ava and Everly currently attend Gull Lake Public Schools. Ava completed 3rd grade, Everly completed kindergarten, Neither child went to another school their entire lives. They're both doing well, have friends. Gull Lake is currently a school of choice, but after next school year, the children would be considered permanent students. Plaintiff did continue the children enrolled in Gull Lake schools for the next year. Plaintiff has proposed the children would go to Penfield or Marshall, which would be a school of choice as well. And the parties both testified that they agreed that testified that the parties had agreed to have the children in Gull Lake schools when Ava first started back in 2020. Plaintiff testified that if the current parenting time schedule continues, it is fine to keep the children in Gull Lake. Plaintiff testified that when the parties discussed the children going to school, they chose Gull Lake because it was the best school around. Defendant testified that his and his family's connection with the Gull Lake schools. Court would inform the parties, as no one brought this up, but maybe it's just too early. Court would inform the parties that Gull Lake has a legacy scholarship program that'll pay for 2 years of college at KCC for students that attend kindergarten through 12th grade. After considering all the evidence, the court will order that the children would attend Gull Lake schools until they graduate from high school, or the parties would otherwise agree to change the school, which they would have to do in writing. Next, the court will address the issue of child support. Plaintiff is employed at Gallagher Uniform. She testified in 2023. She made between $53,000 and $56,000, and the court will take $55,000 as her income for calculation of support. She testified she has an insurance premium of $345 per month for her and the 3 children. When the court looks at this individually, that is a cost per child of $86.25 times the 3 children will result in a $258.75 deduction from her income for purposes of calculating child support. The defendant's job is flipping homes. He testified his income in 2023 was $34,000, but he anticipated making between $45,000 and $50,000 in 2024. He did testify that he had just in the past month had sold a house and flipped it. So what the court will do is the court will use $48,000 for his income for purposes of calculating support. Parties had also raised the issue of tax exemption for the children. Plaintiff took the deduction for all children in 2023. The defendant proposed that the parties would each take the deduction for 1 child and alternate on the 3rd child. This appears to be fair and reasonable to the court. And so for the tax year 2024, defendant will receive the tax deduction for 2 children, and plaintiff will receive the deduction for 1 child. And then thereafter, they will each alternate the deduction for the 1 child. Once a child would drop off, as it would be, because Ava would be the oldest. When Ava drops off, then the parties would each claim 1 child after the year that they were able to claim the 2. And then when both children are off, when Ava and Everly off, then they would alternate years for Eli. With that, I believe that the court has addressed all the issues the court had to decide. Mr. Schaefer, is there anything you believe that the court had missed or failed to address before we conclude?
No, I believe you have covered it.
Okay, Mr. Moldovan, likewise, is there anything you believe I've missed or failed to address before we close the record?
The one thing I may have missed it. Did you say a child support effective date, Your Honor, or was that upon entry of judgment?
The court will, I did not address the effective date. The court will make the effective date, the last date of trial being June 27, 2024. Thank you for addressing that, Mr. Moldovan. Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask that Mr. Schaefer would prepare that as he represents the plaintiff. And just Mr. Moldovan, for your information on, this is all on YouTube. We keep these up for a matter of 30 days so that the attorneys can go back over, because I know we address a lot of things and you may want to, in preparing the judgment, go back and clarify some points. So it'll be held up for 30 days and then they'll be taken down.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you all. You're free to go. Have a wonderful day, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.